Hi, everyone. Yes, we're purposely making the mics hot. Hi, Jen and Amir. Hi, Yvette. How's everyone doing? Let's see. Hi, Nessa. Hi, Joanne.
Start liking
Hi,
and
Brandy.
sharing.
Yeah, can you like and share? Wait,
Facebook is putting the squeeze on Candid News. They are a victim of their own success.
Hi, Denise.
They're trying to curtail the reach to
Hi,
force these
Patricia.
guys to spend money. We need your help. Organic reach is really important.
Hi,
Please
Judy.
share this link, not just on your page tonight, but find at least 2 friends and put it directly on their Facebook timeline
Hi, Ivan. Hi, Edlene.
and keep Candid News growing.
Hi, my favorite and most beautifulest cousin in the whole wide world, Mana Silva. Hi, Danny Taitzingfong.
Mana, the curvaceous Mana Silver.
Hi, Maria, who says half a day from Virginia. Thank you. Hi, Gary. Hi, Gary. Half a day. Hi, Destiny.
Is that Gary Gumatautal?
Shonels. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, and I really hope I'm not butchering it, but Gary Shonels. He also watches The Point all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Hi, Roman. He was supposed to call us tonight, actually. Yeah.
In
but
studio
they're
guest
like
says
in-
shout out to Senator Will Castro, who was supposed to show up tonight.
No, he was supposed to call, but I think the legislature's still in session.
And give a shout out to Senator Tello Taitagui for calling in last week and really,
I know.
setting the bar for the other lawmakers.
Hi,
who can't
Annalyn.
hide.
The volume. Hi, John. Hi, Roy. Oh, Johnny's here too, Roy.
I want to say hi too. Hi guys. Hi everybody.
Troy, you must think I'm a pathological individual. Black coffee.
Do you want cream and sugar?
I do have pathologies. I can drink black coffee.
Oh, okay. Hi, Rissa. Hi, Maxine. So yes, so Romeo was explaining earlier how Kandit has fallen victim to Facebook's blackmail. It's so we've been studying this since February of 2018. Facebook has introduced a new algorithm to its pages, to its business pages, and Kandit's one of them. And those algorithms just went into full effect. And so it's not just us; it's also The Point that's been having these issues. And I'm going to imagine other more successful Facebook pages on the island.
Well, that's the point. There are no more successful Facebook pages than Candid News, and it was your.
And The Point.
Well, they're successful, but they're nowhere close to where you guys are at. It was your enormous boost in the last 30 days that really got the algorithm's attention. You know, it's artificial intelligence. Skynet is watching.
You know, we can't even, the algorithm will catch if we put on the title, please share.
Yes.
It'll catch that.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
I was
actually
reading about
reads. It reads English very
Hi,
well.
Melvin. Hi, Brandy.
You should put it in Chamorro and Tagalog.
Audio going out.
Buenas, my Cornesia. Buenas, my Cornesia, Zen Familia and Kandit. This is me sober, not drinking anything, and I already screwed that up.
It's coffee.
I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
And I'm Romeo Carlos. Never mind me and the graphics in the background while we're getting started. I'm just going to play with a few
Oh, that's
things.
a cool picture.
Yeah, I figure I just play with a little something. I was busy today working on another project, but I wanted to make a bumper or something.
Oh, thank you,
But
thank
I
you.
figured, why not let the people watch us as we progress on this and, you know,
Okay, all
give
right.
a little entertainment while you're talking.
Well, welcome to our studios in Tumon, Guam. It is Monday, the 26th of August, and it was hot in the legislature today. And of course, there's no shortage of issues. But before that, let's get to our normal routine and also the whole showing people how to do the see first thing.
Yes. If you guys could share, like and share this live stream. And those of you who are on the computer, or if you can get to your computer, if you can this is because of the algorithms or whatever Facebook blackmail that's happening to us.
It's not blackmail, it's capitalism. It's good
Whatever.
old American capitalism.
Whatever.
Facebook's putting the squeeze on the most successful social media news broadcasts in the entire Western Pacific.
Effing Mark Zuckerberg, man. And now I can't even cuss because in order for us to promote our content, we can't cuss. So I'm going to try to...
Good luck.
Damn it, we can't cuss.
No,
Fuck that.
because it flags it.
Oops, did I say something?
Did
he
you
just say that? Yeah,
You
yeah.
cuss.
Okay, guys. So if we can,
Oops.
if we can, if you can go on your computers when you get a chance. If you open the Kandit page, and at the top of the page, you're gonna see an icon that says "Following." If you click on that, you're gonna scroll down. Oh, this is by memory.
Oh no, I'm just looking
Oh.
at your stuff.
You're gonna go down, and it's gonna say see first. There's gonna be see first, default, and I believe unfollow at the top and whatever. But we want to go to see first. That's what we want to check mark. So when we go live, it goes on to your timeline. It gets directed to your timeline, so we can get the message out. And yeah,
And put at least one of your friends or two of your friends, put a link right onto their page as well. It really helps. Like I said, right now, because of the huge spike that you've experienced in the last 30 days, Facebook is the new algorithm wants to see a split between your organic reach and your paid reach, your boost. So the idea with the organic reach is you engaging, liking, sharing, and commenting. If you actually share not just on your page, but you add one of your friends, you put you share a
them,
link.
yeah.
No, not just tag them. Put it directly. Share.
timeline.
It'll say share on a friend's page, and then punch in their name and put it on their timeline, and it shows Facebook's algorithm, Skynet, that you're engaged and excited about Candid News, and it makes it easier for the feed to populate across your network. So it's your personal social media power being used at that point. So
the good thing about this is it's getting us to use other platforms like Instagram, YouTube, as well as our website. So just give us a few days. We're working on it. We're doing all of this work ourselves. We don't.
that's called cross-platforming.
Yeah.
Are we cross-platforming tonight? Are we on YouTube as well? Oh, sweet deal.
Oh, we're on YouTube. What's our YouTube page? Candid News Group.
Yes.
So go to YouTube, Candid News Group. Cool. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, some people have a better audio
Yeah,
connection on
moving on
YouTube.
up, moving on up.
Just so you know, it matters because, like, on YouTube, they are competing with Facebook, so they have integrated audio systems there that actually a lot of people can hear better and enjoy the audio quality. On
And just to let you
YouTube.
know, YouTube does not censor what we have to say.
No, not yet.
I hate censorship.
Me too.
It's coming. The leftist takeover of America is at work.
Well, if they leave it up to our AG, we're probably not going to be able to cuss at all, or smoke, or drink. We're going to get in trouble for eating on the air, or
Boring.
drinking
That's a
on
boring
the air.
AG.
Oh,
Let's share YouTube.
It wasn't me that time.
Okay, so the first thing I want to
Prim,
go
we're
over-
going fast. Like seeing it in our life that we're moving fast. Maybe we're moving like puppets or like
Oh,
aliens.
is the stream okay?
Yeah, on Facebook, Cello.
Okay, so
Oh, so like we're really super animated.
it was like Lulian
Forever!
Girl. It was like Lulian Girl running away from
That's
the
what I'm
questions.
saying. It's contagious.
So I got and I can say her name because she sent an email directly to and to our friend who just posed that question, the answer is no. That's a total inside thing. So Clara Castro wrote an email to Dedito Mayor, Melissa Tavares, and to the Vice Mayor. And I wanted to read. I actually haven't read it myself, so we're gonna do this together. She says, Hoffaday, Mayor and Vice Mayor of Dedito, 05/2010, Allegetta Street, Route 25, went through major construction stoplights, road widening, and adding much-needed road drainage based on Public Works Guam Transportation Program completed projects. Route 25, Allegetta, federally funded, final cost $6.7 million. Yes, the stoplight makes a difference, but traffic is traffic. It's not any better than before. We will never rid the traffic. It's still hell trying to leave and come home from work. Ignorant drivers taking a shortcut coming down Laddie Heights, making Route 25 a 3-lane highway, and just another smooth road to speed and rub up engines all night long. Yes, I live on Allegeta. I live the results of this federally funded project. I like to keep reminding myself $6.7 million. I'm the resident whose yard is flooded every raining season because the engineers did such a fantastic job studying the road flow. Can you find me?
Is that the lady who made the news with the trash? Her house is sinking, basically? Oh, no, that's one in Dedido.
No, they didn't hire Pika for that.
That's in Dedido.
This is Allegeta. Yes, Dedido, yes.
So, there was something in the news about the lady in Tamuning, same thing, and the mayor and DPW keep giving lip service and going over, but apparently it's been going on for years.
Well, every time they pave the road, they don't excavate, they just build on top.
This one, a pipe is broken and it's creating a sinkhole, and it's gone from little bits of trash popping up from this hole in the ground to like 5-gallon buckets of old paint buckets washing up, and she even was blamed by apartment owners next door for throwing trash on their property, and it's not. It's when it rains, and they keep using the excuse we don't have any money, which is real interesting because I think that was a topic Senator Therese Terlai was trying to drive home today at the legislature about how slow DPW is in getting roads fixed, getting things done.
How about how slow they are to give a freaking fine to Mike Phillips?
Well, it is Vince Ariola who's in the head over
there. His wife's been making the news. In 2001, when my husband and I decided to build a home on his family property to raise our family, we mortgaged the cost to fill the land to build the house above road level to avoid the wrath of Mother Nature. So they were thinking. We weathered years of rains until 2010 when the government wanted to help the people of Guam, never mind any other factors. It's not important, right? When the construction neared its ending, my husband, rest in peace, said, "Babe, I think the road will be at a higher level than the house." I'm on a short fuse. "What the hell, are you kidding me?" That's what she replied to her husband. "But don't worry," the contractor said, "Laddie Heights drainage to the ponding basin, Route 25 and 26, will catch the water flowing down the hill." Well, that's if they had catchments, right? "However, the rains, trash, sometimes gravel are at our doorway, not our doorstep. From the street through the garage to the backyard, the water drainage is pasted. Our house at the end of the property, you can see the water run from the corner down our driveway onto the property. This is not the first communication to the mayor's office and or public works via phone, email about road flooding. The flow of water doesn't appear to catch at the corner ponding basin. But sometimes I just have to say, WTF, who cares?" So it really does say WTF. That's not me censoring anything. "So I just make sure important documents are secured in plastic. I could go on and on, but I'm not the only one with flooding issues. Imagine this isn't typhoons the island is dealing with. Today I sent our daughter a video recording and pics of the rain and garbage. She called Dedido Mayor's office. Seems like the vice mayor is a busy man. Drainage cleared. Thank you, Kandit News, for bringing to light the urgency to keep the roads safe during the rainy season. Another example of faulty plans, wasted funds. But hey, gotta keep the paycheck rolling, right? Regards, waiting on Allegeta, Claire Castro." We're gonna give her a call tomorrow and see if we can get her on camera. Claire, we hear you loud and clear. So a very big problem from ever since, I believe it's 1966 or 1967. In either 1966 or 1967, the government of Guam, for the times, adopted the Territorial Master Plan. And that is the plan that, to this day, government of Guam planners, engineers, and the like, well, not just government of Guam, but planners and engineers throughout this island use in order to guide themselves on development. The problem is that the plan is, how old is this now? 52 or 53 years old, from 1966 or 1967. It's 52 or 53 years old. Guam has changed a whole lot. That's been 52 to 53 years of new roads and roads being built on top of roads, new friction course on top of previous friction course. And so what's been happening on our island is that if you live roadside, or if you happen to live in an area where there's no catchment for the water that streams during downpours, from the roadway to wherever valley that you might live in or whatever dip that you might live in, you're gonna get flooded. And this happens a lot in Barragata, where there is no drainage It happened to Angel Santos's mom and dad's house, and I don't know if they were ever relocated, but every time it rains, there was like 3 feet of water in their house. It happens throughout Totu.
It happens at my house because our house, Josh's grandma's house was a nursery before, and it's right on the road on Route 15. So what Josh did to mitigate the flow, because when it rains, it really rains, and mind you, the mountain's right on the other side. So when it rains, all of that comes down.
Yeah.
So what Josh did was dug
His own catchment system.
Yeah, to go down, because right behind us is the valley.
Yeah.
So he just dug his own, so we don't really get that much flooding. We get a little bit, but we're okay.
You dug your own basin?
Yeah.
So sometimes there are systems, and I think this is what Claire is getting to in her letters to the mayor, is that sometimes it gets caught up with debris, and so the water can't flow, or the drainage itself, on the grill, there's debris. So that absolutely is the job of the office of the mayor, to clear that debris, especially during torrential downpour.
Well, no more coffee for you.
No, I think he's just really excited because he has a lot of information he wants to get out tonight.
Been a busy day.
I get to take a crap on one of my enemies in the later part of the show.
Oh, interesting. No wonder you said to come out. We're going to have fun.
Yeah.
So I want to, on air, haven't told these guys yet, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
What's that?
That's the days I will tentatively commit to.
Yay!
Okay?
Thank you.
Because I actually had made up my mind not to come out tonight, and I was just telling one of the kids at the house,
Can't help it,
I don't
because
feel like going.
Even the night that I said I'm not going down, Troy came up to the house to pick up something from me, and just his own hype. I look at my.
No. She made me coffee, and it was like a freaking dollar plate.
So we have the coffee, and he said he's gonna meet Eric. And I couldn't help, when he left, I couldn't help myself.
No, it's not that I couldn't help myself. Troy said, "You're coming tonight, right?"
I said, we're going to have fun, and we are.
Yeah, well, like Chelu says, I was another, Chelu, see, I told you, it's a new voluntude. We're going to have fun. It's, voluntold. But, so Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That way I have time to work on some stuff. It
won't be voluntold soon.
Well.
Yeah.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
But I really want to get our Fox News piece done.
I'm so
because
excited.
I need
Can you please tell people what that is again?
Well, you guys will have to animate the voices. That's why I want to make it a Candid News Guam blog thing, So Guam blog, if you notice, I haven't been doing a whole lot of posting lately, just Facebook stuff. But I've been working on creating a new animated newscast. Candid News has proven social media thrives on video. And with Face for Radio, I just can't do the video like these guys do. So Guam blog will be introducing, for Candid News exclusively, Fox News, with our anchors, Dick Holden and Anita Cox, with Mona Lots on special reports. Mona Lots. So. Anita Baker Cox. I still don't know why, but yeah, we'll have to adjust her name tag. But it's,
you don't get it? Anita Baker Cox.
I get Anita Baker the singer, right? No.
Say it fast.
And then it's going to be brought to you by Blown Productions.
I get it, Shelu. Thank you, Troy.
It wasn't my idea.
Yeah, but thank you for slowing me down or speeding me up so I can get it. Yeah, Anita Baker. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay, we'll have to speed that up for him. But yeah, we'll be introducing that soon with special characterization and voiceovers provided by the talented Troy Torres and Johnny Rosario. And, of course, we'll have the frequent visit from bobblehead Bubbles Carrera herself as soon as I find a fishbowl big enough to fit that head in. But we're looking forward to bringing that to you soon exclusively here on Candid News.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is Anthony Mendiola.
This is a good segment.
Yes.
This is our feel-good segment, guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, until we get to the next story, which is not exactly...
No, we just want to thank him,
yes.
Right? We're just thanking him and all his...
Every day I've been seeing new stuff from Anthony Mendiola. And I'm sure that there are other people who do this, but the way Anthony Mendiola has been marketing this on Facebook, it inspires so much goodwill.
Is this the guy behind Guam Crime Watchers?
I don't know. He's the guy who
He's Big Tone.
there was a bus stop in Lewan Terrace that was just
No,
trash.
Harmon.
Oh, Harmon. There was just trash.
Oh yeah,
That was the park.
I've been seeing his stuff all over Facebook.
Yes.
He's
He
getting
managed.
things
He
done.
got the government in gear
Yeah.
because he's been complaining.
You know how many years it's been like that, and people have
No,
been
but
complaining.
not only did he get the government in gear, he took his own gear and did it himself.
And he's inspired young kids to do. I saw a post. I can't remember the name of the young gentleman, but on Anthony Mendiola's page, he promotes this kid. It looks like he's in high school or something, who picked up trash around the bus stop. Just because he was inspired by what Anthony Mendiola was
Great
doing.
for him. Great
Yeah,
for
and
him.
so I really wanted to give a shout out to Anthony Mendiola, and if you guys could check out his Facebook page and not just check it out, but interact with him, because he's been doing such a great thing for the people of Guam, and he's doing way more than senators do. That's for sure. He cares about the community way more than the governor does, and he's been so concerned about the people of Guam way more than our government is concerned about the people of Guam. So shout out and kudos to Anthony Mendiola.
Thank you, Big Tone on the microphone.
Is he a DJ?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, he was a DJ?
But he was my classmate. Oh wait, let me tell you.
He's our age?
Yeah, wait. I went to college, Cello.
Yeah.
So I called him.
She was a sorority girl.
Huh?
She was a sorority girl.
You were a
No,
sorority girl?
I was not.
Were you a fraternity boy?
No,
Yeah. Oh.
No
I
fraternizing.
was not. I actually met Josh and I started dating when I started going to college. But
You're
I
not
was
a
going to
lambda,
college.
lambda.
Oh no. I Big Tone messaged me or put it on my Facebook page on Kandit saying that he was my classmate.
Did
And he
Josh
said-
comment? Chabwit.
yeah. No, he said, Tony. Anyways, he says that I had a little argument. These aren't his exact words. I'm filtering this, okay? That I had an argument with a girl, and I ripped her a new.
Wait,
butthole.
because she called you something.
A bitch.
Yeah.
But I'm okay being called that.
That's a woman's superpower. Somebody was getting on my case because I referred to I don't know, Jane Flores or someone that's a bitch,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a compliment. A woman uniquely has that superpower in her womanhood to be the ultimate bitch. That's part of female mystique.
There's a difference,
Yeah.
right? What's the difference?
It's when a
Troy?
guy is a bitch that it's not a compliment. I mean,
I'm sorry, I was bringing up pictures and I wasn't really paying attention.
When you're called what's the difference? There's being called a bitch.
and then
being
being a
called an
bitch.
No, wait, never mind. Forget it, guys. I had a brain fart. But
No,
yeah.
I honestly.
But
Does that
that's
sound like
how I-
Bubbles talking? The brain fart? Does it-
Yeah.
So our next story is about.
Oh, and I got a funny story.
Oh, let's hear the funny
Oh,
story.
no, I
first.
can't.
Why?
I have to
Why?
tell
You
you
cannot.
off- I
You
cannot.
cannot just say that to our audience.
Comment if you want to hear the story. Put it
I
there.
just found out that Bubbles is cousins with someone really close to me. But they're not telling me not to talk about her. They're just laughing about it.
And plus, I mean, there is also the thing where, well, I don't know if it's a thing for these guys, but for me, if someone came to me and tried to punt for someone else.
Oh no,
and-
I'm with you on that.
I'll go harder. Like I'll just, I'm like, don't ever come to me and ask me to do you a favor for someone else, because if that person don't have the balls to ask me
They don't
themselves,
deserve it,
they're
right.
gonna get it even worse.
Former Governor Carl Gutierrez, people really make up shit about my relationship with this guy. I admire him. I respect the hell out of the man. So I've always tried to point out what I thought were his strengths. So a lot of my critics and people in the administration that you used to work with, and people in this administration, call me Carl's lapdog. Guam blog is the lapdog. And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, it used to be so bad. He would be afraid because people would go to him and ask him, could you get him to back off? So funny story, true. Dennis Rodriguez's dad was having a shit fit because I was all over him for that
The
tax scandal
yeah.
that he got away with. And I guess he went to the gov because they're party, they're pals, And the gov did not ask me to take anything down, did not ask me to stop. He doesn't like doing that. He's very, very nervous even bringing things up. So one day, though, he said, hey, would you talk to this guy and let him give you his side of the story? I said, sure. And of course, he stood me up. And, that didn't play well. Then he comes back again after a few more blasts, because maybe it's a subconscious thing, but apparently, according to the gov, I doubled down on his ass after him not showing up, blowing him off.
And now Lou is governor.
Oh, he doesn't ask anything. He asked me the day after the primary if I would follow him to that side. And the ironic part was, right before he walked into the coffee shop where we met, I had just met with a couple of businessmen who were scared shitless about the prospect of Lou becoming governor and wanting to know what they could do.
I was there that day. I was there when you were at the coffee shop.
Huh?
I was there at the coffee shop when we were waving.
No.
Is this that day?
No. This was the day after the primary.
Okay.
This is the day after the primary.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
the
the
one
day.
you didn't come to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the day the snake walks in and
Yeah, what's
I
his
stand
name?
right, Chris, and
That fucking
dumb shit.
faggot motherfucker.
The one who was running the scam on Dennis's team.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, so I had this guy.
That's
Can we
Rihanna's.
can we get Carl Gutierrez somehow to do write-in or work with Frank? They just didn't want Lou, and I said, no, I don't think so. He's got his own mind, blah blah blah. So anyway, I met with the gov literally minutes after that guy walks out, and he asked me, and I said, no, my loyalty to him as a political individual ended the night his campaign ended. My commitment to him as an individual, as a friend, has never ended. But that doesn't drive my politics. I'm not going to blindly follow someone into something I think
need
is
to learn
bad.
how to do that. What you just said.
Well, I don't know.
can't
it
do
comes
that.
natural to me, but here in Guam, apparently, it's a very difficult trait to pick
I
up.
feel like all or nothing.
No,
No, it was because the primary had ended.
No, I'm saying I need to learn how to cut it.
We did, because remember Rodriguez?
No,
Rodriguez lost, and then
I'm still hurt. I'm still,
Hey,
I'm
supposed
still
to wear-
voting for you.
we're supposed to wear our shirts.
I know, I forgot. I can't.
forgot
I
mine.
don't know where's mine.
I cannot fit
But I
mine.
know they have extra. I'm gonna go ask them for it.
I'm lying that I cannot fit mine.
Honest?
Honest.
Honest.
But I wore my skinny jeans tonight.
No, you know what?
He's wearing tights
earlier,
right now.
Earlier,
You
I
know
wore my
what?
skinny jeans.
But
Fuck you both.
Okay, so our next-
that's just as that's. Fuck you both.
no. You know what? You know what? When
Frank
people-
Uggan should have been the governor.
You know when people say, "Oh, Johnny's just Troy's bitch," and they know Troy's gay, so I know what they mean by that. And me, I'm like, get it right. I'm the head bitch in charge.
Head bitch, motherfucker.
Get that shit right, yo.
And same with the government. It's like I said, I would do anything to help him out and really try to show his strengths, as opposed to, I just don't buy into that $10-15 million campaign of character assassination that he and his family had to endure for so many years, and people still want to buy into it because they didn't get their way with him, whatever. But when he decided to go to the loose side, I just, brother, I love you, but no, I can't do that. I just can't do that. I do think it was one of her best decisions. I was thinking Tony's Babalta was another really admirable decision, but we'll talk about that later. That doesn't seem to be working out so well.
We'll get to the Ongro administration at the end of this newscast.
Yeah, that's going to be a doozy.
So can we cast to my screen? This is what you're looking at is a Guam uniform complaint and citation written out to Justin Alberto. You may have seen him. Actually, some 30,000 people, or maybe 60,000 people have seen this already. It is the live video that he did when he was cited picking up his son from school. Oh, what's going on there? Oh,
That's Romeo.
picking up his son from school. I can't remember what school it is, but what he did was, in order to get his son's attention, he beeped his phone.
Not his son, the wife. To let her
Let the wife know that the son was coming out, right?
Yeah, because he could see him. But
Yeah.
the wife was standing at the gate waiting because Doreen's son, and I know Doreen personally,
Okay.
and her family, her kids. She used to live in Jigo.
Okay.
And her son has autism, I believe. right?
Yeah, the ADHD, I think.
ADHD.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And the boy's very, very hyper. So they have to catch him before, because he can run away from his one-to-one. He can outrun his one-to-one. I'm sorry. So right when they're usually every day they are there before the bell goes before the bell rings. These are parents that get there before anyone else so they can be there first for their son.
So they're good parents.
Of course.
Yeah.
So mind you, they need to spot the boy. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry, Doreen.
Split the screen, Chalu.
They need to spot Doreen's son before he lets out, so that they can catch him because he's a runner.
If he sees the car, he's gonna run into
out,
the traffic.
Right.
So that's why the mom has to get the son
Yes.
right away, and that's why he had to alert.
The mom to let her know that he sees him and
Yeah.
he's coming out.
So he does this. He honks his horn, and the police officer, when Mr. Alberto gets into the gate or whatever, says, "Just park over there because I'm gonna give you a citation." And mind you, it's been wait. There's traffic. Their kid, needs to get in the car and all this stuff, right? So so he gives him a citation. He gives him that citation and says, "You are in violation of Title 16, blah blah blah." So you see on the screen, here's the table of contents for Title 16, Guam Code annotated vehicles, general provisions, and then what's the next one? Here, so I don't know if you can see
Go
this.
back to the full screen.
I don't know if you can see this, but it says,
Prim, you can just go to his screen. There you go.
the operator of a motor vehicle when, I'm sorry, wait, it's up here. Every motor vehicle when operated upon a highway shall be equipped with a horn in good working order and capable of emitting sound audible under normal conditions from a distance of not less than 200 feet, but no horn shall emit an unreasonably loud or harsh sound. Sounds like that's a part of the code telling the car companies to do something about
The decibel levels.
of horns. Well, and then the operator of a motor vehicle, when reasonably necessary to ensure safe operation, shall give audible warning with his horn. Such horn shall not otherwise be used. So this is the section of the law that the police officer, whose name is, hold on, let me get that
Javon
for you.
Cruz. Javon Cruz.
Somebody Cruz.
Javen Cruz.
Yes. Well, that's a complete misunderstanding and misapplication of the law, because that law is premised on the idea of the decibel levels, meaning a horn that is excessively loud, not used in an opinion
wait a
of a
minute.
cop that thinks
What is the
inappropriately.
cop, what is the cop doing there? First of all, wait.
I don't know.
Every day, parents go and pick up their children.
Where's the mayor?
No. What? Maybe the cop was picking up his own child. Let's think about this. Why was the cop there?
As opposed
I
to
don't know.
patrolling.
Right.
Well, I mean, if there are enough cops to do patrol, that
isn't.
there's so many
What
that
village
they're
is
able to
this?
help with the schools.
I believe Ordot Chalampago or
I don't
Price
know.
Elementary.
It-
Barragod, or I forget where.
Bottom line, it was ridiculous. How many of you have sat in your car and you've seen your wife, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids come out of a store or building or location, and you hit the horn once or twice to let them know where you were? That's
I
basically
think
what
that
he
law,
did.
I think that law was about, you don't go to an apartment complex and start honking the horn for your lover
Actually,
to come out.
that's not what that
You know
law
what I mean?
states. That law is about the decibel level,
Yeah.
meaning the you can measure how loud something is, and that is what that law is specifically referring to: the loudness of the horn, not the use of the horn excessively, but the loudness, the noise level, and it refers, because it's basically copy and pasted from laws in the states. Whoever wrote that, copy and pasted from somewhere else.
Oh.
It talks about manufacturers, because there was a trend back, I don't know if you remember, in the late 70s, early 80s, where they had these crazy ass horns, and they would be really loud and obnoxious. So someone at some point put this into Guam law, and it refers to the loudness, the volume level of the horn, not the use of the horn.
Okay, wait.
That was a misapplication of the law in order to write a bogus ticket by an
Well,
obviously
they could have just asked.
overzealous
The officer could have just
officer.
asked the guy, "Why
Why
did
he
you
was
honk your
honking.
horn?"
Yeah.
You know.
He could have done a lot.
This is the reason why the police were there.
Okay.
The day before, thank you, Tina. The day before, there was an altercation with parents waiting in line. GPD
jeez.
called the next day just to monitor.
Okay, so they were doing their job, but in this case, they just
They laid
So
in a dollar short.
maybe the cop thought that it was a case of parent rage, or road rage, parking rage.
maybe, but they should have at least asked the father why he honked his horn, and that is a very good explanation that the father has. You know.
It is. Well, to be devil's advocate here, there was someone I read on the considerable thread to this story that perhaps the parent, what was his name again?
Justin Alberto.
Justin Alberto was flippant when the cop approached him. Maybe he wasn't as polite as he could have been or whatever. Either way, I just think it was a bit excessive on the part of the cop.
Dude, Romeo, have you ever tried to pick up your kids and get a knife? It's stressful.
Hey, I've actually gone and picked up my godkids for a period of time, and I know how it is. I do know how it is. So maybe the cop thought he
Just
was
anything kids sounds
intervening
stressful.
in a situation before it got out of hand.
All those
Either
devil
way,
children.
I didn't say that. I love little kids.
The children of the corn.
The children of the corn.
Hey, it is the third week of school. I think all parents are feeling this way, right?
Yes.
But they're also like, thank
They
you,
are
teachers.
grateful.
Thank you, teachers.
I will buy the teacher anything she wants. And
So-
if I don't have the money, I'm going to find the money and I'm
When
going to
does
get it.
when does this case go to court?
It was on the citation. Sorry, it's
So they can postpone it for up to a year sometimes, especially if they know it's a bogus ticket. Because the problem that we have with some
should all
police
go to
officers,
that hearing.
but this is something
it's
that
it's this year. It's October 9.
October
On the
9.
9th day of October 2019
What time?
at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. October 9. Let's
so
go.
that sounds like the
Let's
police
go.
officer was actually believing he was doing something within the framework of the law. Because when it's a bogus ticket and they just really want to fuck
Well,
with
I
you,
wanna know-
they put the date a year.
But then I
Because
want
they
to
figure most
see what other
people won't show
citations.
up.
You know what? Maybe that is the case. That this is an officer who's playing it by the book. Maybe he just
Or
needs some.
what he thinks the
extra
book says.
training?
No, it's
But-
it's called reading comprehension.
But if that's the
skills.
case, I want to know what his other citations are. Has he been giving citations for other things?
Can we
as
see
well?
what he looks like
Other
again?
parents in the line did not
Javen
hear him
Cruz?
honk his horn. They didn't hear a horn.
Go ahead and cast my
according,
screen
from
again.
what I understand, it was like one short
Yeah.
little beep beep.
So that's
the best shot of him?
officer, and this is the whatever the case whatever that was written.
Why would they need that?
He looks like a fairly young guy.
You know, this is the kind of thing that they gave me when I made a complaint against Ray Tenorio.
Oh, who made the complaint? They did?
The police officer did. So that this is the other part of the story is they cited this guy. I want to know how many citations Guam Police Department has given Marlene Ewely for reckless driving.
Oh, jeez. Don't even get
You know
me
what I
started
mean?
on that.
You know what I mean?
You know, the
it's
kid
like-
killer Marlene Elway.
So Guam Police, you
Guam
are going
police,
to.
within a week or 2 weeks time frame, has lost high-speed chase people. Okay?
Doesn't that say crash? It looks like it says crash.
It does say
It does
crash.
look like it says crash. Yeah.
So,
The
they
cop
can't,
crashed
even, they
into
can't
him.
even get them to give the ticket, okay?
How come this guy doesn't know cursive?
Nobody knows cursive anymore.
That is not crash.
Yeah, C-R-A-S-H.
Oh, it is crash.
I think it is crash. I think he's crashing.
Crash the load.
Oh, or croissant.
Croissant.
Chili's a croissant. No, I don't think it's croissant. They call that a biscuit.
Good evening, Jackie.
Oh, let's do the good evenings.
Tina's helping us out by letting us know why the police was there. So
Okay.
say hi to Tina. Keith.
Hi,
So
Tina
what is?
Kichichu, thank you
thank
very
you,
much for
Tina,
all the
for that
information.
info.
Joe Spokagui says, God bless you, Troy.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
You can go back on our faces.
And God
I'm
bless
not trying
black
to tell
coffee.
you how to do your job. I love you. I love you.
I'm going back between Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna get
Sweet
you a
deal.
director.
I love you. Can we put in the comments our YouTube page? So people can. I'll do it. Never mind, Cello. I'll do it. Bert Taposnia. Hi, Bert.
Can you add water to the soup?
How come everybody's saying bless you? Did you sneeze?
I sneezed
Yeah,
3
Oh,
times.
I'm sorry. Bless you.
Oh no, it's okay.
I didn't hear
It's okay.
that.
I think you guys were talking about.
No, I heard you.
Javen. Oh,
It's hard to miss.
Oh, we ran out of gas? Yeah, can you? It's underneath. We're making shank soup because it was raining all damn day.
Shank and kitty soup.
No, it's called Kandit Kutney, guys. I don't
Kandit
know where
kitty.
Troy got his
Kitty.
shank soup.
My
But
grandma,
it's
she's like,
Kandit
we're
Kutney.
making. I'm making shank soup, baby. Lay you?
Do you know that in Spanish the word for shank, that part of the bone, is
Destiny.
chamorro?
Destiny Farnham says, thanks, Destiny. The cop was probably doing something he wasn't supposed to do and got manging. Muller.
I love that word.
Rissa says it's probably, it was one of those power tripping cops.
I hate that. If
I
that-
like those.
If that's true, I hate
I like
that.
those.
Oh, you just like the content for Candid News.
No, I like those power trips.
What do you do when they do that?
I get out of my car and sit. Huh? Remember when I got in trouble by Josh? Huh? At the game room, remember? I got in trouble
Oh
by
my
Josh.
god, it was so embarrassing. Never mind, because there are details of that don't need to be told.
Josh is like, what the are you doing? Get the fuck in the car.
She's like, that's the guy that owes his money, right, babe?
He's like, no. Oh shit, sorry.
She did not say sorry to the guy.
I said sorry to Josh. I thought he was gonna punch me.
And thank God I was in the back of a tinted car. I was like,
So moving right along, what's the next topic? You said we were going to have fun.
wait, hold on.
This is not fun.
Yeah, this is, but you know I like political juice. I'm a
Yeah,
political
we're getting
junkie.
there. We're done. Everybody, we said hi to everybody already.
Okay, so then let's take a break for.
I'm
and then
feeling
the
feeling
second
bad
segment is
for
political.
feeling bad for this family, the wife, the kid, but
No,
a part of me,
Justin and Doreen, we got you.
yeah, I feel bad for those guys, but a part of me, just a small part of me,
Wants to believe in Guam.
feels a little bit sorry for the cop because I just how
Oh, he's gonna get this cop. It just started, Jello.
no
It just
yeah, but
started.
that's why I feel sorry for him because you know like maybe it is just a case of bad reading comprehension because it's inconceivable that you could take that
no,
law
but you have
and
to
apply
also
that.
have compassion. If he walked up to that, to the founder,
what's so
wait,
funny?
listen,
Romeo just called the guy stupid.
wait, guys. If he, okay,
I didn't
listen,
say that.
I'm pretty sure that's how Champion started in this when he started as a cop.
Oh, now my horns are out.
Okay, listen. When you feed that ego, and when you
No,
have no
Johnny makes a
compassion
point.
for people, and you start off that way, you end up like someone
Johnny
like
make-
Champion
Johnny makes a really
and
good
Benny
point.
Babauta.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
You really trying to pick on his
It looks
horns,
like business is good, eh? Huh? Business is good.
and he wants some of it.
We'll come back in a few minutes to our second segment regarding Senator Therese Sherlahi and how, well, we told you about how Senator Mary Torres was being bullied yesterday. We're going to tell you about how Senator Therese Sherlahi and Guam Memorial Hospital were being bullied
But
today.
you know, Senator Therese Terlahi, I love you. I mean,
and
she just-
she'll feel that love tonight.
you know, I just love an intelligent woman. But man, you should. I really got stuck. I had to pull off to the side of the road just to listen to the session on air today, just because I didn't want to lose anything, and I know if I get home too soon, I'll get out of the car and I won't turn it back on. And I really wanted to catch her, but she was just like, I don't know how a person with your intelligence actually survives in a place like that. Because
The people are gonna hear what Senator Therese Sherlahi had to say after we have our cigarettes.
Okay,
so you
let's
guys,
take a break.
let's go. Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring, considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring, considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring, considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring, considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring, considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds?
So the BPT of 5%, do you think that can already be brought back to.
I have made my
4%.
position about that, and I have said that I don't want it rolled back. I'd like to see what fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021 gives, because as a result of what has happened, we were able to actually also close the gap as a result of President Trump's Jobs Act legislation that took away about $68 million from our general fund. So those are the kinds of things that I am really looking at, Heidi, before, and like I have said, I have spoken to many business leaders also, and they are okay with the 5%.
Will that stay at least until 2020, fiscal year 2021, so 2022, there might be a
I would like
consideration.
for it to stay, and I'd like for it to stay forever.
With many accolades and celebrations. Welcome back. So, sorry, if you see me like looking to the side, it's because I keep looking at myself in the darn monitor. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
There's the camera. So, today, Senator Therese Terlahi, and I'll explain this. We'll explain this a little bit more after you see the clips from the Guam legislature. But as a summary, Senator Therese Terlahi tried to take earmark excess revenue. I'll explain that in a second. On a quarterly basis for the next fiscal year, and whenever there's excess revenue after the end of every quarter, she wants that excess revenue to be earmarked for Guam Memorial Hospital, and it is
The same
specifically-
Guam Memorial Hospital that during the campaign, Clueless said that she would just give them the money that
Yes.
they needed. No questions asked.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's specifically to fund the improvements needed to avoid losing CMS accreditation. So that is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's a critical lifeline of Guam Memorial Hospital for its financials. Well, basically, if we didn't have reimbursements, money coming from CMS, the hospital just wouldn't be able to operate. It wouldn't have any money. Well, it would have I believe it's 2/3 of its funding comes from these CMS reimbursements. So it's pretty important. And so let's cut to my screen. And let's hear a little bit of what Senator Terlahi says when she proposes her amendment. And then we're going to cut to Senator Terlahi giving an impassioned speech because her colleagues were bullying her and were giving her problems with what should have been a proposal that should have passed.
Which colleagues were shilling for the administration?
You know, I to be honest, I didn't go down the line to see who were the 5 who voted with, or who were the 4 who voted with her, and who were the rest who voted against her.
Yeah.
And maybe
That's
we'll
when I
try
was
to get
getting
that
out of the
by
car.
tomorrow. But here is
Your government at work.
Mr. Chair, so we are currently in the first chapter of the bill, which talks about revenues, and we have projected, and I want to thank OFB for all their hard work on this. What they have described as conservatively, we have, estimated the amounts that the government of Guam will bring in for fiscal year 2020, and The rest of the bill, of course, appropriates all of those amounts. Another part of the bill also appropriates lapses from 2019 and different things. And we've also appropriated special funds. But right here on this section 4 of the bill, we are talking about revenue collections in excess of what we project. And we've learned from 2019 that right now it's August 2019, the fiscal year ends on September 30, 2019, and we've learned that they are currently projecting approximately 14 million in excess of what revenue the legislature last year predicted would come in. So, but the thing is, despite what the needs might be, the government is unable to spend that money in 2019 because we are told that, well, we just haven't chosen to do that. And I think, of course, we've seen some legislatures in the past increase the revenue projection by, millions of dollars in hopes of bringing in, additional money. And I know that that's one way to skin this cat, Mr. Chair. We could increase the revenue projections today and be very optimistic and say we're going to bring in more than what we've projected so far, and just like what we did this year. But I think that's, I choose to be, I guess, more conservative than that, Mr. Chair, because I want to be consistent with your efforts in that regard. So all I am trying to do by this amendment is to say that when BBMR and DOA and Rev and Tax prepare that report that shows us that we are actually collecting more than we predicted to collect, that we then take that extra money and we lock it up. And we lock it away from transfer authority, we lock it away from expenditure for prior year obligations, we lock it away from expenditure for even disasters, Mr. Chair, because we're putting it subject to legislative appropriation. And I feel like this is the only way to ensure that the legislature is going to have authority over that money. And so I've called the fund that we're going to put it in the Hospital Capital Improvement Fund. And that is because, it's well known that this budget does not cover the capital improvement necessities for the hospital, even the 3 most urgent ones, including the roof, the electrical panel, and that electronic data program that they insist that they need this fiscal year, that they will get no other extension from CMS or the Centers for Medicare, that they will not get an extension on that, and that needs to be done this year. Now we, have, this does not give them that money. My amendment doesn't even give them that money. However, Mr. Chair, what it does, it locks the money up until we can be assured by Guam Memorial Hospital as well that they are ready to go with these projects.
Okay, so before we get to Senator Therese Sirlahi's impassioned speech at the end of the debate on this, I do want to bring something up, and that is that Therese Sirlahi, she mentions it in her impassioned speech. She says, "This is not my issue. It's not, the hospital was never something that Therese Sirlahi campaigned on. And she was the top vote getter, mind you. Therese Sirlahi has some very specific issues. They include criminal justice reform. They include political status. Some of these very hot button issues that she is known for. When she entered this legislature as the top vote getter, she was a candidate for speaker. And it was
she should have been the speaker.
It was a very bitter battle.
It was rightfully her position. She has the intelligence, the experience, and they played dirty politics once again, and they displaced the most competent lawmaker we have today.
So what had happened was, this is the inside politics of this all. What had happened was because they were so upset with the Democrats were so upset with Therese Serlahi making this push to become speaker. Not only did she lose the speakership, but they punished her, so quote unquote, by giving her the Legislative Health Committee, because they understood that if GMH failed, they could blame it on Senator
her.
Therese Serlahi.
And
so
that's
this
your
is
dirty government at work.
but the woman has not stopped fighting. This is the thing, and like she's like, I'm very happy that there are these two people on opposite sides of the aisle who are really advocates for the people of Guam. Senator Mary Torres is a Republican, Senator Therese Serlahi, who is a Democrat. And when you hear these two women talk, all you ever hear from their voices is absolute compassion and leadership for the plight and the future of the people of Guam. This is all you ever hear from them.
And intelligence.
Yes, and they are intelligent.
Indisputable intelligence. And instead, we got the flip of that put in place as Speaker and leadership in the legislature.
So they gave her this job, basically, this GMH, and she's running with it, but it's like roadblock after roadblock that they're putting in front of her. So we're going to fast forward to the portion of this session where the senators are done debating her amendment. What she wanted to do was to create a lockbox over excess revenues, earmark those revenues for GMH improvement, capital improvements. And
let's just make it real clear so that you guys understand it. What Senator Therese Serlahi was proposing today was to take any money that comes in on a monthly and quarterly basis over the government Adeloop's own projections and put it aside in a locked box account so that the people of Guam would actually know where this excess money was at until it was appropriated and spent. Like she said, this was nothing more than bullshit. She didn't call it that, but that's what it was, bullshit. Because this government, I think from month to month, they keep telling us that they're moving very aggressively in collections, and the projections are ahead. Mm-hmm. Like you said the other day, the last projections were $42 million ahead. Even if you slash that in half, because according to Lester Carlson, the media doesn't know how to read the numbers, it would still be 21 million ahead. And all she wants to do is that money that is over what you projected and what you budgeted for, instead of just disappearing into the black hole called the general fund, which is held at the Bank of Guam, she wants to put it in a bank account that is safe from being spent willy-nilly and just given away and unaccounted for. So what she wants to do also is prevent other senators from Christmas treeing all of their pet projects. So she's saying GMH is a priority. The people of Guam believe GMH is a priority. The people of Guam believe in Therese Serlahi, apparently, because she was #1 in the last election. I'm going to go home and watch this because I want to see who voted against this common sense.
Well, we're actually going to see it at the end of her impassioned speech. There's going to be a roll. There's going to be a show of hands or something. We'll be able to see it. So let's go back to my screen, Chalu. Dumbo.
No, not you, Janela.
Sorry.
Another fund that it's going to be.
Sorry, let me just go back. I went a little too far ahead.
Collections are cash. Cash comes in irregularly. And what this does is
I want you
take
guys
out
to listen
all
to
those
this
variations
because
that are
I'm going to tell you about
to
a
the
lie
positive,
that the administration told.
that doesn't account for anything.
His leg shakes as bad as yours.
Show a negative cash collection. Like I said, if a collection is early and it hits 1 month rather than the other, there's nothing there. There's no mechanism for adjusting for that.
Thank you. That's a little bit concerning. That sounds like it could create difficulties as far as the cash management perspective is concerned as well, correct?
Yes, Senator.
Mr. Chair, also, if I may ask if the author of this amendment would yield to a question.
Senator Therese, would you yield to state your question?
Does this amendment create a new fund this hospital capital improvement fund, is that a new fund?
That's correct. I'm just creating another fund that it's going to be separate and apart from all others, yes.
With that, I have a follow-up question as well. Shouldn't the creation of a new fund be subject to a public hearing?
Senator Therese.
What I think should be subject to a public hearing, Mr. Chair, is if we're going to use this money. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with this amendment, is to put the money someplace. We could put it into an existing fund, but I just thought it would be very clear for all of us and all of our purposes if we put it into a new fund, something that no one expects to use.
Right
and I
on.
think it should be subject to a public hearing if we're going to take any money out of this fund. For example, if there is a shortfall for some reason, if there's some kind of anomaly, that's exactly what we want to know, Mr. Chair. We want to know when there are anomalies in our government. We want them to be accountable. This is the way to hold them accountable.
You
so
can
that
hear the frustration in her voice.
we are told if there's, first of all, they make their projections of revenues every month based on what they expect, based on also all the anomalies for different months. They don't set the same projection for every single month. There are different. If you look at the CRERs, their projections are different every month based on what they expect, when they expect the land payments, land taxes to be paid. And quite frankly, Mr. Chair, in FY19, if you look at it the way that I've drafted this amendment, I've combined the income and the business privilege taxes together with all their anomalies, together with the negative corporation tax in 2019 versus the positive in the other
I'm sorry, guys.
tax categories.
I'm going to fast forward this
I've
because this
combined
was
them
not
together
part of the
so
impassioned
to
speech. I believe this
push
next
it.
segment is. Hold on.
Yeah, but you know, this part right here, I think brings it home.
amendment
How frustrated
as
she is with the absolute absurdity
Senator
of
Therese.
not being able to
Thank you,
use
Mr.
common
Chair.
sense to protect the people's money.
For the addition of the words flood mitigation? Yes. I
The
just,
proposal by Clinton Jones.
I support that amendment, Mr. Chair. I think it's an excellent amendment to this bill, and I'm not sure how much is going to be needed for that also. I know that Bureau of Statistics and Plans earlier in the year, they are supposed to accommodate, fluctuations that they can predict. For example, if, they can predict some type of fluctuation in this Guam Highway.
I'm
Got
sorry,
an
guys.
excess? That's what it should go for, and it should go.
This
It
is why
should not
she
wait
should
a
have
year.
been.
It
She
should
was
go
the
there
speaker.
right away.
She should have been
Thank you,
head of the
Mr. Chair.
budget committee. Somebody who
Thank
actually
you.
knows what she's doing.
On the motion to amend the amendment, are there any objection? There is one.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, guys, this is the
panel has
speech for sure.
indicated for 2019.
What funds are available
This is for sure the speech.
appropriation. So I think the way the first amendment was worded didn't do that, but I believe that this amendment to the amendment then sort of restricts the funds and captures any excess funds, say in the first quarter. Am I correct? Can I ask the fiscal team if that's what this amendment to the amendment is accomplishing?
Yes, you may. Lester.
Your interpretation is correct.
Thank you. So for the same reasons I objected to a previous amendment, I'll have to object to this one as well. Thank you.
Does any member wish to speak on this amendment? No, you don't want to speak? Okay, Senator Therese, if you can,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
nobody else speaks, Senator Therese.
So here's her closing.
As the panel has indicated, for 2019, the Guam Highway Fund, they appropriated in 2019 $22.8 million. The Guam Highway Fund has actually already brought in, or is tracking to bring in $25 million. So what we are doing in this bill, not by this amendment, but by this bill, is taking whatever's excess in 2019 and then appropriating that to DPW. And that's what the original amendment would do. It would take what is excess in 2020 and appropriate that on October 1st, 2020 to DPW. But I am just saying, if there is a mechanism that allows us to take that money earlier and put it to DPW, then what are we waiting for? When the roads are in the condition they are in, if the fund has got an excess, that's what it should go for. And it should not wait a year. It should go there right away. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
This is when I had to pull over to the side of the
Thank
road
you.
and listen.
On the motion to amend the amendment, are there any objection? There is one. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your right hand.
Is that Biscuit's hand up?
Motion fails.
Okay, so
Ladies and gentlemen,
so we can come back to the screen now. There is that was actually not the closing. So apparently there were two major Therese Terlahi amendments. This is the first time I've ever seen that one.
About
This
the
is
highways.
about highways. So the first one she did was about GMH. The second one she did was about the highways. I thought I saw some headline about that on the Post today.
There is.
So I never
There's on
watched
KUN
the
News.
highway one thing, but it's what she wanted to do with the same kind of thing. So every quarter, every 3 months in the fiscal year, the Budget Bureau and the Department of Administration release what's called a Consolidated Revenues and Expenditures Report, or a CRER, C-R-E-R. That's what they call it. And every 3 months, that CRER will show whether the administration is collecting more or less of the revenue. And mind you, I'm using the word revenue, okay, not money. I'm gonna explain that in just a second. The administration will show whether it's collected more or less revenue than it's projected to as a tracking, because you won't know until the end of the fiscal year whether you're on a mark, but they track it every 3 months. And so every 3 months they present a report to the legislature that says, you know what, we're meeting our mark plus 12%, or we're not meeting our mark by 8% negative, or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that helps the legislature supposedly to make adjustments if adjustments need to be made, or it helps the administration to understand, do they need to do layoffs, furloughs,
or in this
whatever,
case,
right?
with the highway bill, what the Senator Therese Terlahi wanted to do was take that projection overage and make it available immediately to DPW instead of waiting, so they can actually get their asses busy in fixing these roads. And she was very, very polite and very, very discreet about pointing out how much is not getting done despite the money that supposedly is there, and then the money just disappears and the work is not done. So she, in this particular, that last piece that you played, she wanted to be able to look at the government's own projections, their own numbers, and say, okay, you've met your goal, now let's take this extra, and not just set it aside for DPW, but give them the money as soon as possible instead of waiting a whole year, so that they can actually get work done. And with GMH...
Actually, and with GMH, it's the same thing, except
and
your explanation...
GMH, she wanted to put it in a lockbox that I guess at the end of the fiscal year, then they would have that available to them.
So, okay, so your explanation is 95% right. Except when you use the word money.
Well, yeah.
So
I'll let you clarify that one.
Okay, so
because that was my question outside. Where is all this cash?
And I have to admit something. So this confusion about the difference between, because this argument has happened before publicly regarding a lockbox of money, so to speak. This confusion was created purposely
by the master of confusion.
By yours truly, back in 2012 or back in 2011.
Oh, I remember.
So back then, the late speaker Ben Pangilinan wanted to create a lockbox, and he wanted to lockbox tax refunds, which is okay. It's a little bit different, but to make things simple, he wanted to lockbox tax refunds. It's almost the same thing that Senator Therese Terlahi wants to do with GMH, and then when that failed, with the roads. Now, the administration back then and the administration now today.
Who's following that playbook? Not as they're trying to follow it, but they're not very good at it.
Well, they succeeded because they could encourage the senators to kill those amendments. So the administration, the Leon Guerrero administration, is lying to the legislature about what will happen. What will happen with the lockbox? What they're saying is all throughout a 365-day period, money comes in to the administration, into the government from the payment of taxes, fees, et cetera,
Section 30.
and it doesn't come in at the same rate every quarter. So if you're expecting $100 to come in one given year, don't expect that every quarter $25 is going to come in,
It might be
and
70
then you make,
and then 15.
yes, and so if you're tracking that more money is going to come in, and just recognize that I'm using the word money here, okay? It's cash. More money is coming in the first quarter than you thought. Maybe it's because less money is going to come in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So you may get $28 in quarter number one, and so you think you have that $3 extra, but if you don't save that $3 extra,
You're going to be short
you're
the
going to be
next
short
quarter.
in quarter number 4
Right.
when
Well,
it counts.
that's the point. The financial team,
They were making
Mr.
that
Burns, was trying to make that.
So Burns said if you lockbox it, it will cripple the government.
And that's the bullshit.
That's absolute
absolute
BS
bullshit.
because Senator Teresa Lahi, just like Speaker Ben Pangilinan, we're not talking about money. They were talking about revenues. Let me get my bag so I can explain this better. My satchel, because it has a purse string.
I don't know, but money and revenue is the same thing. To
He
me,
needs a
but-
visual aid. No, it's a little bit different, and that's what he's going to try to explain. But this was my question, because I'm sure a lot of you viewers out there have the same question. Just where's the money? Where's the cash? Because if we are, in fact, tracking ahead in terms of numbers on a paper,
It's in the bank.
It's in government finances. It's very different from private sector
yes,
finances.
but it's still at the end of the day.
Yes, and there's a whole
cash
lot of government
somewhere.
accounting standards that go into stuff like
and
that.
There's cash somewhere.
And trying to figure out
this
where the cash is. But
administration is acting like they are desperate for cash, like there is no cash yet. For months now, we're 8 months into the first year of this administration, well past the point of time when they should have had some breathing room with the consistent projections doing well above the numbers that they had predicted for themselves. So, as a regular, not so bright guy out there in the street, like the rest of the public, I want to know where's the cash that we are getting. Why is it that we don't have money?
I want to explain something to the public regarding government finances, though, because this is a very important distinction to make, and it shows how the administration is lying to the legislature and to the public. And I don't know if any senators understand this, except maybe Senators Teresa Terlahi and Mary Torres. And I think Will Castro understands it as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's why I'm curious to see how he voted on the hospital bill, because I know he, of all the senators, should be more informed about the critical need to meet the digital requirements for the medical records and the CMS over at GMH. You guys, when you were in office with Calvo, sent him down there to work on that. But we'll see. Let's clarify on the revenue.
Have you ever heard the saying that the legislature controls the purse strings? Okay? It's very important to understand why the saying is not that the legislature controls the purse. It's because in government finances, there's two very different things dealing with money, and that's called revenue and cash. Now, cut to my screen, Chelo, or cut to this camera here.
Oh, you don't see the bag.
Oh, the bag is for the other camera.
Okay.
So, let me move this one in. So in government finances, they always talk about revenue, right? But revenue don't pay the freaking bills. Revenue is something that's kind of different in legal terms from cash. Cash is what we all know as cash. Can you guys see that? Cash?
Yeah.
Okay. Now revenue is something that senators have control of. Senators have no control constitutionally, they have no control over cash. This is what the governor controls. Okay? Very clear distinction. The governor cannot control revenues. The governor has to rely on the legislature to control revenues. And senators have to trust that the governor is using cash the right
Did you
way.
hear? I heard that correctly. Trust.
Yes.
TRUST. Trust.
And so in between that trust are a bunch of laws that limit the way that the governor can use cash. And that is through a revenue mechanism. That's what the budget is. The budget is what the legislature authorizes the governor to spend. So, like, let's say that there's they want to spend $20 million at the Guam Police Department. The legislature says, okay, governor, you get to spend $20 million at Guam Police Department. Now, if there is enough cash, if there's enough cash that comes in a fiscal year, the governor can spend up to and no more than $20 million. If a penny more, and the governor is in violation of the law. But nothing stops the governor from only spending $10 million at Guam Police Department. As a matter of fact, if the money doesn't come in, that is what limits the governor from spending any more than the actual cash that comes in. But then there's all these other things that happen in the government budget where the governor is able to transfer money from other places and do all these other things so that if there was a shortage in one area, the governor can come in and fill the shortage so that the governor can spend up to $20 million at Guam Police Department. Now, getting to the story about the purse strings. This difference between revenue and cash is very simple. Pretend this is a purse. It's a satchel, but pretend it's a purse. Because Johnny only has
It's a Herschel.
only has the big bags.
No, I don't care. I don't like carrying purse.
Just Louis Vuitton.
I don't like carrying purse. Louis Vuitton, my ass.
There's a lot of Louis Vuitton.
He's lying.
And Gucci, Charlie. Gucci. You have a Chanel bag?
I do.
You-
Sorry.
That's classy. Hashtag classy AF.
A friend of mine, actually, I didn't buy it. A friend gave it to me.
We all tell that story, Charlie.
Okay.
All of us tell that story. That
I don't lie.
You didn't buy it.
I don't lie.
So, pretend this is the purse.
It is a purse. It's a man purse. It's a Herschel man purse.
This is where the cash is, right? So all the cash is in this bag. And so long as I'm wearing this purse and my hand
Stand up.
and my hand can fit into the bag and grab the cash, as I can reach the cash, I can spend it.
Who's this hand? The governor.
It's the governor. Yes.
Okay.
The
And
governor
this?
is the purse and the hand that reaches. I'm sorry. The purse is the treasury. It's the Bank of Guam.
Right.
Oh, well, that's also the governor.
Yeah. This is the Bank of Guam where the cash is being held. This is the governor.
who's
And
able
this,
to reach in.
this here is the legislature.
So the legislature is able to adjust the purse strings so that the governor can't reach inside the purse. That's why they say the legislature controls the purse strings. The legislature, through its revenue and appropriations authority, is able to say, you know what, you are not allowed to dip into the purse, even though you are the person who actually holds the purse. We are going to shorten that string so that your hand can't reach inside the purse and spend that money. That's what a budget does. Now, when Ed Byrne and Lester Carlson from the administration threaten the senators and say, if you hold that lockbox over these unanticipated revenues, the revenues over the projections, you are going to hamper our ability to divvy up the money how we see fit. Those are two different things. What Senator Therese Terlahi wants to do is control the purse string so that when that additional revenue comes in, it's locked away for GMH. She's saying nothing about the cash that comes into the government of Guam. she ain't trying to lockbox that.
Their budget. She's not trying to lockbox their budget. It's
No.
the extra money.
It's extra revenue, which should translate into extra cash that comes in above the budgeted levels. It does, and this was the great lie that the Calvo administration told to the legislature back in 2011, meant to confuse everyone. It was just this back and forth usage of the words revenue and cash. They're two very different things in government accounting standards, or in government nomenclature. And when I hear it on the radio, this interuse of revenue and cash, I'm like, man, you guys better start knowing what you're talking about, because that's two different things, and it's very confusing to people. And I'm kind of sorry.
Not no more. Not no more, Cello.
I'm sorry that I was involved in helping with the confusion back in 2011. But in order to defeat Senator Ben Pangalinan's measure back then, Governor Calvo wanted me to go in.
Did you defeat it?
The lockbox. Yes, we did. But it's with tax refunds. It's a little different because that ain't revenue. That's pure cash. What they were trying to do was unconstitutional. But the argument that we use is the same argument. It's the same exact argument that Ed Byrne and
Maybe
Lester
that's
Carlson
why
are
they
taking.
don't want to talk to you, because you know all the fucking.
Of course,
jukes
that's
and
why they
moves.
don't want to talk to
You
him.
move-
They don't want to talk
'cause
to
you know how
anyone who
juke it.
actually understands this process.
But this is understandable,
No,
right?
I know how it works.
Now I get
know.
it.
Dude.
Okay.
I remember when you spun that shit up. I believe there's a post on that.
I used to get very offended when people said that I was spinning things. I am not a spin doctor.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Nothing wrong with being paid to do your job well. This is why the administration fails at it so badly. They don't have anyone
That's
smart
why
enough
they
to
don't-
spin this.
That's why they don't like you, Troy.
Yeah. I mean, that was communications. That's the whole point of communications. Spinning is finding the positive peg on which to hang your narrative. Doesn't
Chelo, are you
mean
gonna
lying.
have a when you're governor? Are you going to have a communications, or you'll be the one to speak to the people?
No, there'll be no communications.
Damn it, I'm not going to get a job.
Oh, you
Let you're gonna get a job.
I want to spin.
You'd be like what do you call it? Special advisor or senior policy, whatever it's called.
I want to be communications director so I can play as my theme song every
No,
time I
we're
have
not
to go
gonna
on
need
there.
any. You need to
Spin,
spin.
spin. You know the what is it? Sneaker pimps. That song spins.
There's gonna be an open door policy, but you know what? You want to know what? So they lied. Senator
They
Teresa
lied.
Lahi is right.
Hence, Pinocchio.
Hence the money bag.
So this is going to be a character I'm going to work on. I'm going to animate little Pinocchio doll here, and every time the lie comes out, the nose will be bigger than mine. Will get longer and longer and longer and
So
longer.
Lester Carlson and what's the other guy's name?
Ed Byrne.
Ed Byrne.
Ed Byrne's funny
Mind you
because when he
guys-
lies, his leg under the table shakes like.
Mind you that they are lying. They're not lying for themselves. They're lying for the governor.
Before the Guam legislature, they're
Well, that's their
perjuring
job.
themselves.
Well,
before
they're
the
doing a better
legislature.
job at lying than Bubblehead could manage, which is why I guess they sent them down to do it. I feel badly for the freshman senators because I look at someone like Clint Riddell, and I really hope he voted with.
No, it sounded. Did you hear that one clip? It sounded like
He's onto it.
No, it sounded like what the explanations from Lester and from Ed were scaring him.
Yeah. He, like I said, that's why I feel sorry for some of the freshmen because they're actually trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the people who present themselves as being honest when they're being dishonest.
Yeah.
They don't want to be cynical, and Clint personally, right? He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
And he's
an honest guy.
He's a thoughtful person.
Yeah.
But he is also going to try to believe that they're not sitting in front of him pitching a bald-faced lie.
It's the confusion between this whole revenue versus cash thing.
Yes.
So then there's another thing that comes up in this discussion. If you guys are projecting excess revenues already, then why the hell aren't you rolling back the business privilege tax?
Well, that's probably why
Were we ready for that?
I need to
we
check
were
the
ready
cutting.
for it. I gotta. It makes me want to write that Guam blog story, but I actually want to do this story on that for Johnny to do a package on. He's like, I want to create a little graphic on that, and I'm a little conflicted in that I changed my position on the whole BPT. Initially, I thought it was a really, really bad idea, You don't do that. And then I kind of, business has slid for so long. They failed, for the most part, to pass on the benefits that they've been given over the years to their employees. They've just sucked in the profits. But now I'm back not being so inclined to favor the BPT. One of the primary reasons is because we don't see this government doing anything to try to correct itself, to try to rein in spending.
Yeah.
Frivolous spending, absolutely frivolous spending.
$70,000 on fireworks.
Speaking of 70,000, I saw Jane Flores today at 7A Martin Jr.
She was cordial, right?
Oh, never. She just pretends I'm not there, And then when I walk by, we'll talk about me like she does at funerals and stuff. But you pretend I'm not there. I pretend I don't see you either. But I just looked at her and all I seen was this big money bag. But that's $70,000. I mean, frivolous expenditures. Then that Kathy Flores nonsense. So I can see why business people in the community are so upset.
$400,000 for trips for 100 people to Hawaii.
Oh well. I'm kind of for the FestPac thing. I think they're just wusses for not standing up and committing to the idea of cultural representation for the people of Guam, because they're not looking at it for its best interest for the people of Guam, but who they can handpick to send on a fabulous and lavish vacation. So they just corrupt everything through. I've been struggling for days to try to come up with the right term. We were talking about Marie Antoinette last week, Brennan Circus from the Roman Empire days, but there's just got to be a better. For lack of intelligence, I can't come up with the right analogy. It's like the lunatics are running the asylum. They're there, and it's all about celebrating and taking what they can get while they can get it. And there's got to be an analogy.
Andrea Pellicani calls it hubris.
Hubris, girl, is an excellent word because that's prideful arrogance. It's there's one thing being arrogant and one thing being prideful, but it's a combination. And the hubris is excessive. And Andrea, that's an excellent word. But I'm looking for a historical context when you have a party that's in place and all they do is celebrate and party out, and while the people suffer. And I keep coming back to the days of Rome when it was collapsing. Bread and circus was the phrase that comes from that. The French Revolution, it's what brought them down. Mm-hmm. But I'm just left at a loss for words to describe this administration. And you were talking about expenditure.
Well, corrupt would be the first word I would use.
But the corruption in this case, they even turned the phrase corrupt into a joke. Eddie Calvo, you could point at him and say the guy was corrupt because of the favorability toward contracts for his family. But it all fell within a paradigm of corruption that we understand.
Yeah. This one's a little messy, right? Chaotic,
dude,
almost.
That's the word I kept coming back to, but there's this thing of stupidity that's associated, the stain of stupidity. Corruption through sheer ignorance and stupidity and prideful stupidity, because they are not ashamed of how ignorant they are. This administration has demonstrated, in our next segment, we'll talk about that some more, how inept they are, the utter lack of executive management skills. And that's across the board. Eddie Calvo used to have this thing he said constantly about the best and brightest being brought into public service. And I know most government leaders look at bringing in new blood, new people, because they want the best and brightest.
No, that was Governor Felix Camacho's term. It was the best and brightest.
He too. But I remember Eddie saying that specifically, and he had some bright people. Maybe not the best people, but he had some bright people, and in some cases he did have the best at what they did. But it's like this administration came in and just flipped the script on its head. And we don't want the best. We don't want the brightest. We want just the opposite. We want the dumbest, and we want the worst. Come, join us. Just vote, and you can be in too. And this is what we have.
Do we have the bubbles anywhere for this? So,
are you a babbling bubblehead? Welcome to the administration.
That was fabulous.
Do you lie through your teeth without even waking up? Well.
It's incompetent. It's an incompetent bubble thing.
But I mean, I was actually thinking about this while I was driving away today, and from the supermarket after seeing Jane, she just kind of got me thinking. It's like she's a writer, and not a dumb woman, but there's an absolute lack of management skills. And I reached out to Tony Babalta. I wanted to have coffee or drinks with him off the record, just to, dude, I'm curious. And I always like to go straight to the horse. What the fuck? What is wrong? I just want to hear it for myself. Even if you want to bullshit me, I'll read between the lines and try to figure it out. But they lack executive level management skills. And I used to do management training, so I know it when I see it. And what's really disturbing is they lack basic management skills. We're talking about shift supervisor at McDonald's kind of thing, where it's written out and you just follow the rules.
But even that requires leadership, an innate sense of leadership.
And that is what we have, a vacuous leadership. It is my opinion, my impression, that Leon Guerrero ran for office with the sole goal of being the first female elected governor, but with no overarching vision,
so Bob,
no strategic
Bob
planning.
Been saying that for quite a
Yeah, I mean,
now.
I really thought it would be absurd to think somebody who actually runs a bank would be that bereft of any management skills or any vision. But there is no strategic plan, no overarching vision. And then she comes in and all she wants to do, I mean, yeah, I get it. Everything ran on its own at the bank because your family put you in there after they built it. The government runs, you would think, pretty much on its own. Or maybe she actually thought she would have someone like Tony Babalta come on board and he would run things for her. There's no leadership.
Well, not on top of, but parallel to the lack of leadership is the total lack of regard or the inability to understand what the commoners,
Lack of honesty.
what the people are going through, and that shows through.
There's a lack of understanding, which ties back to lack of compassion.
Yeah.
There's a disturbing lack of honesty, utterly disturbing.
So Senator Jim Moylan, early on in this budget discussion, what he tried to do was repeal the BPT and do some cost-cutting measures. The senators, just like how they shut down Senator Therese Terlahi, shut down Senator Jim Moylan. And so this guy was like, let's get rid of the BPT increase because it's killing the common folk, and let's make some cuts where they can be felt. And granted, they weren't like significant cuts.
Yeah, but I have a disagreement with Senator James Moylan, and I hope he doesn't start down that track. That's bullshit hurting the common people. BPT impacts business people, and there are measures in place that have actually ameliorated things, made it easier for the small businesses. $250,000 a year and under, you are a small business. The business community on Guam has benefited for decades of a pro-business environment to the degree that they've had tax breaks, incentives, skated on taxes.
The biggest businesses don't pay GRT.
Well,
banks don't pay GRT.
Like I said, so the business community has benefited. So if they pay a 1% increase in BPT in one of the lowest tax jurisdictions in this country, yes, it's disturbing for them, and I understand why, but get over it. But what they should be concerned about is the dishonest approach of this administration to take a temporary tax increase and want to try to make it permanent, try to find, talk about, Lou says, oh, it's just my personal belief that it should be forever. Well, you're the governor.
I didn't see that one coming.
You're the governor. Your personal belief will affect your political agenda. And, so I do get that. I am not in favor of the continued increase simply because the government hasn't demonstrated a goodwill, in any goodwill fashion, their effort to make appropriate and commensurate changes in their prolific spending.
Yeah, the fact that, okay, so we are all to endure this tax increase while the governor refuses to increase the corporate income tax rate, which is the exact tax rate that she was worried about because that's the one that the Trump tax cuts affected. Why doesn't she want to affect the corporate income tax rate? Maybe it's because Bank of Guam has to pay that like everybody else. She wants to affect the GRT because Bank of Guam does not pay taxes on gross receipts like everybody else. I mean, let's just call this for what it is. Now, senators, You guys are the ones holding the purse strings. You guys are the ones who allow the governor to dip into the purse when and wherever you see
pica.
fit.
Hell, I love that.
So,
That's pica. I need to have cocktails when I eat this.
so, senators, this is all on you. You guys have one freaking job.
That's
and
really
to
good
pass the
papaya,
budget.
pickled papaya, by the way, though.
Oh, that's from Familia and Issa J. Rivera.
Yeah.
Issa J. Rivera?
Yeah.
That is
I also
good.
wanted to say that the governor's personal agenda is coming before the people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you why.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Speaking to the mic, I want everybody to hear this. I want to hear it.
Pacific News Center has posted yesterday or last night, and I believe we received this in our email too, Troy. The governor writing about the HR 365.
165. Yeah.
Okay. Only now she wants to write.
It's post party.
Yeah, you too late. You a day late and $1 short, lady.
See, I'm
But-
being nice by not even talking about that.
But I just want to let everybody know
Tell them what that HR 135 is.
it is the war claims effort.
Michael
that
San Nicolas's
Nicolas
effort.
Okay. It says the letters were sent to Senator Lindsey Graham and the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman and Dianne Feinstein, ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. In her letter, the governor said she was writing to respectfully request the U.S. Senate's expeditious consideration of H.R. 1365. I'm sorry, honey, but already they're on board.
Yeah, girl, when you show up when they're cleaning up the confetti from the party floor, that means you missed the party.
Yeah, okay. Now, her writing this letter,
Well, she didn't write it. Somebody from Adeluc wrote this to cover up the fact that they've been lying
and I
to
called
the
it,
people for months and months with the conspired assistance from the Speaker of the Legislature, Tina Muñoz Barnes, and Senator and the person in charge of the Democratic Party, Regine Dences Biscuit Lee. You guys joined with the governor, lying to the people, saying that you have been in contact with Trump officials in the U.S. Treasury for months on this, and then the Democratic caucus at the legislature gets a presentation from Tony Babalta, your chief of staff, that demonstrates clearly you only recently sent out messages
August 19th.
this month.
Yeah.
Because in those emails, which will be posted if they're not up already, it is very clear that there were still even basic questions being asked by the chief of staff as to what the understanding of the Treasury had with regard to their plan. So you lied. And months...
lie. Diabetes.
And months after, the Republican Party of Guam stood strong and fast with the island's representative in D.C., now you come along with this mealy-mouthed little attempt to try to show face and cover your ass for the lies that you were exposed to having been
the email we
telling
received,
all this time.
I didn't want to put it on our page because
I've got a couple about this. Somebody asked me if I read
no,
this. and
I
was
didn't want to
like,
put it
"What?"
out, her press release, because we usually do. The main reason why I didn't want to put it out there was because
It's bullshit.
right. And well, Mike Nicholas got wind of this and he responded, and I want to read out
really?
his
I would-
response.
Mike, you should have just did one of those eye a day things and sat back.
No,
Let's hear
listen,
what you
because he
wrote.
explains why this is so bad on so many levels.
Oh, jeez.
Okay? He responds, "This is bad on so many levels. Not only does it overexpose something we are trying to manage, it boldly showcases to the federal government that the local administration is not heeding the advisement of their member of Congress regarding federal legislation.
It's true.
This is very embarrassing for Guam.
Can you imagine sending a Regine Biscuit Lee to D.C.? Oh, jeez.
Furthermore, if this causes Senate staff to dig deeper and review the Guam legislature session record, they may further find additional
Or just check the
Quote,
online and read the news stories.
concerns, end quote, that were expressed regarding 1365 passage. And one, realized the governor was not putting all the cards on the table with her letter, thus being deceitful.
Yeah.
Two, used all the aforementioned as rationale to not move 1365 forward, certainly not expeditiously. This is very sad news. The governor's agenda is more important than getting war claims passed federally and as quickly as he can.
Yeah, like I said, this administration operates in a fashion that demonstrates clearly that they're bankrupt intellectually as well as they are morally. Yeah, their bankruptcy is complete. You know,
This goes into that generation where they really don't give a shit about tomorrow. They want to get paid today. They want things for their benefit today and not thinking about tomorrow.
well, that's not all the generation, but
Well,
that's
most of them.
appealing. That's appealing to that mindset with that older crowd. But she is a part of that old generation. But I just,
It just upsets me. You know, I want these people, these
Man, just
Manumco
as I
that have
feel
been
sorry
waiting.
for her.
I don't feel sorry for her. She
but
knows what
I
she's
start
doing.
to, because it's like, can't imagine. But you know, she wanted. Somebody said, "Why are we always picking on her?" It's because she's the
I
governor.
can pick on her.
She-
I voted for her, so I can pick on her.
She said she wanted to be this. So I wasn't
and
going
then,
to.
wait,
you
the
know-
administration, Jeff Cook, the first.
Oh,
first,
save that! Save that!
Oh, okay.
Save that! That's coming. Yeah, save that one. But you know what? I'm gonna follow up, like you and Troy said. I have to get over not wanting to.
Talk about Tony Babauta and his Aten Banielis
Oh, what's the Aten Banielis?
when he gave Troy the stink eye.
Oh,
Aten Baba.
oh, See, I almost sounded like Buñuelos.
It is Banielis.
Aten
That's
donuts.
Aten Banielis. That's what it's called.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
Does that mean he was looking at Troy like he was a snack?
No, like he just. It's not an Aten Baba because he didn't do it like that girl that walked out of the court.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I want you to know I'm looking at you like that.
Oh,
Okay. You know
know,
the Aten Baba.
I am one of the most deeply disappointed individuals in what appears to be more and more the idea that Tony Babauta isn't necessarily fulfilling the role as chief of staff that I thought he would, that I had hoped he would. According to very reliable sources that I spoke with over the weekend, as I was telling you about,
It's almost done.
apparently, not only were the emails that were presented to Democrat senators and provided to, in order to recruit others, and in this case they gave it to Senator Tello Taitigui, who wasn't a part of this war claims bandwagon thing, but all of a sudden popped up and, you know, they lied to her face and gave her these emails and sold her the line that we've been in touch with these people for months. Now, Tina Munyon Barnes, Regine Biscuit Lee, and Lou, and to a degree Amanda Shelton, and Will Castro were on that from the very beginning. But from what I understand, even Amanda Shelton, who's very, very much a part of the in crowd, was probably feeling a little, not probably, but she's feeling a little burnt and deceived by being led on for months now that they've been having this dialogue when they haven't been having this dialogue. But apparently, Adeloop, this is what Guam Blog has learned, haven't been able to confirm it. I'm still waiting for a copy of this. But apparently there is a timeline, a progress timeline for their effort at Adeloop to push this war claims thing through.
Through their own
timeline.
legislature.
Yeah, their own timeline. This is how they were going to do things. And the word is the governor is highly upset that her chief of staff failed. Now, either he failed.
Not upset enough. He's still there.
He either failed to even enact this timeline to get to work and get it done, or he was simply unable
Lying.
to make it happen.
Or lying.
Well, the lying part is there's no or. We know they've been lying to the people of Guam and to the lawmakers for months now. But maybe he oversold his influence in D.C. The other person who seems to be getting a card, a get-out-of-jail-free card on this since her last attack on Mike San Nicolas is Madeline Burdallo, because she's exactly the point person in D.C. for the governor who should have been on that timeline to make these, we're going to do this by this date, this by that date, and again, nothing was done. So at the end of this whole process, what was presented after Tina and Regine led the attack on Mike San Nicolas with their lies to the media that they tried to even reach him, and they did not try. After that whole thing was said and done, there were senators who were not given those emails, who were not given the type of information that was presented to Tello. And I want you to take note how Will stepped back and Tello was pushed up front.
Old political trick.
They wanted to know another political trick played on her. Certain senators wanted to see this communications thread themselves. And what they were presented were those emails that someone sent us while we were on air last week that showed communications in the last 2 weeks, this month alone, referring to only a singular previous incident of communication, but nothing that seems to go back, no trail, months, as they've been telling us. And what's worse is this is a huge story. And the media, particularly PDN, will constantly shill for the administration by regurgitating what they say. Oh, we've been in touch with them for months, making it headline, and yet they don't ask to see this trail of communications. So the word is, as Lou heads off island for another trip of meet and greet, that she is seriously in the mood to contemplate making some serious changes at Adelup with her lineup.
I mean, it's a little too late, but it's
some
good.
people are suggesting she should wipe out her entire policy and communication staff, although I'm not quite sure there's a policy staff.
There's several policy people, apparently by their titles.
Really? Well,
yeah.
They're absolutely right. See, when you stand next to me in a karaoke bar and have these outsized conversations.
But man, wait! You guys are like all of these conversations are spilling into our last segment stuff.
That's why we're building up.
But hold on, I needed to make the point about the second segment, and the point is that while these senators are in session about the budget, and then we'll go to a break so that we can go to our last segment, which is going to be fun because I get to take a crap on one of my enemies. So it's like a minor enemy, but I can't leave loose ends.
Enemy's an enemy.
Yeah,
loose ends.
Yeah, so. The legislature is in session right now. What is that? Who said that? No man's life, liberty, or property is safe while the legislature is in session.
Ooh, that sucks. Say that again.
No man's life, liberty, or property are safe while the legislature is in session. It's like from the 1700s or something, or maybe the early 1800s. We can look it up.
No, but yeah, it's the old saying.
So, what all these guys are trying to do, the senators.
Don't take it that far back because it might have been Mark Twain.
It might have been Mark Twain. So the senators, and I don't know exactly who they are. I can name like a few of them. I couldn't tell you who the 8 of them are or 9 or whatever, okay. Right? But the senators are batting for this governor. And this governor is the person who is holding strings over these senators to not roll back the business privilege tax, or to not fund Guam Memorial Hospital like it should be. For what reason they're holding this money, I don't know. Haven't figured it out yet. But they're not paying tax refunds. They don't want to fund GMH capital improvements. They don't want to fund
that was my question.
Highway
Where
funds.
Is this cash? Why are they acting so broke?
But right now, this budget is in the hands of senators. And if these senators want the governor to tell them what to do, hey, fine, so be it. So this is my question, or this is the ultimatum that Familia and Kandit has for the 35th Guam legislature. It's senators. Hey, you choose. You choose. Who is your master, the governor or the people of Guam? You choose, because it is a very clear choice in this budget discussion. When you don't want to roll back, you don't want to listen to Senator Jim Moylan and the rollback of the BPT, when you want to bully Senator Mary Torres, when you want to bully Senator Therese Sherlahi and not get anything done that she wants to get done just because you don't like her. Hey, but you know what? Those senators speak for the rest of the people of Guam, not the governor. Ain't no one like the governor, all right? No one likes the governor. She's very unpopular. I hope you know that.
Well, she was unpopular when she was running. 18,000 votes.
Well, it won, so...
Yeah.
But now
a whole bunch of other bullshit, including your boy.
But now we're all pissed. So, senators, really, honestly, honest to God, choose. Is it the governor or is it the people? When we come back, we're going to get to a story about the governor's...
Where's Clueless?
The governor's luggage holding authority. Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring? Considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring? Considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring? Considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring? Considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? Hi, Governor. Governor, may we ask you why you have approved a tax settlement for Don Davis? Governor, may we ask you why you've approved a tax settlement for Amajrit Sachdev from Paul's Tailoring? Considering that you have been wanting to collect taxes and that you've been depleting taxes from tax refunds? So, appearing in the executive budget or the executive budget is a provision that allows for executive security officers to follow the governor of Guam and the first gentleman and the lieutenant governor executive security. Now, we heard back in the campaign, and this was a big campaign issue because there was an audit that was released during the end of the Calvo administration that showed how much in overtime was being spent at Guam Police Department and how I believe it was like 70% of overtime was accruing to executive security officers, and their excuse was,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's the travel. And so then candidate Lulian Guerrero said, I believe her exact words were, "We don't need executive security,
Ray,
to go with us on trips. We don't need that. In our administration, we will not have police officers following us on trips off island in America."
You make a
Forever.
Ray, you make a great old lady, Troy.
So and then there's always this
what's
difference these days between candidate Lulian Guerrero and Governor Lulian Guerrero.
And Johnny has words straight out of the first gentleman's mouth.
I do,
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I
Jenna.
do. Let me open this.
Because they're off island. The governor is joining a GVB trip to meet and greet traveled people in Japan to introduce herself. And like they always like to say, talk to government officials. Like Japan doesn't know Guam, but
Okay. This was after they won the election, December 16, 2018. This is a post from Post Guam or Guam Daily Post by Kevin Kerrigan. Cook ready for role as Guam's first gentleman. Lulian Guerrero's historic victory as the first woman to be elected governor of Guam brought another first for the island. The governor's elect spouse, attorney Jeffrey Cook, will soon become the first gentleman of Guam. The unofficial title is just one option. In formal situations, I will go along with what seems to be appropriate, which is first gentleman, Cook said. First gentleman was the top choice of the Guam Daily Post readers in a recent online poll. The poll asked, what should attorney Jeff Cook, the governor's elect husband, be called? In the poll, 658 voted for the first gentleman, 398 picked first dude, 277 voted for first man, and 132 selected first husband. Blah, 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 blah. When I'm out with friends, just call me Jeff or first dude, he said with a laugh. I am extremely proud of my wife, Cook added. As a first gentleman, my job will be to support my wife in any way I can. That includes carrying on with his legal career. He said his attention always has been to continue being a practicing attorney and focusing on family. I'm moving down to travel and security. There are obviously some trappings that go along with being the husband of the female governor.
Key phrase there, fellows and ladies. Trappings.
Cook said. But at the same time, I think frankly that a lot of those trappings are definitely not necessary. And the government coffers can be used in better ways. If it's a traveling trip and I get to get away, I'll travel with her, he said. But he doesn't think it's necessary to have security detail travel with them everywhere they go. I have no desire to have security, he said. I'm in my office, I walk to court, I go home for lunch. I don't see why I would need it. If I am traveling with her, I can carry her bag and I can be her security, Cook added. I'd rather have those police officers out on the road. That's what they're there for.
Well, you got that part right.
The decision to run. He said his wife's decision to run for governor was something in the back of her mind when her dad got sick. The late Jesus S. Leon Guerrero, the founder of Bank of Guam, fought cancer for 9 years before dying in 2002. I think she decided that it was time to step out of the bank and the business world and do something for the people and the island, Cook added.
Screwing us is not doing something for us. Just my 2 cents. So,
Cook believes to a certain degree that voters also were displeased with the mean-spirited gubernatorial yeah, that one, campaign. And that's the end of it.
Okay, girl. Let no one ever accuse you of being anticlimactic.
So, were you just tired of the BS?
Yes.
Because that's just a lot of BS from Jeff Cook.
Yes.
But he stated clearly he would be his wife's security when he has a chance to travel with her, and he would carry her bag, because he gets clearly that when the governor of this small island travels to one of the safest countries in the world, like Japan,
Maybe the couple times she's
they
traveled
do not
without
need
it.
security.
Maybe just within this past 8 months, it's not as bad, and she can't handle that nobody knows who she is.
But do we know
But
that
if-
she's traveled without executive security?
No, we
No,
don't.
she's had-
Actually, she's had.
She's had.
She's had executive security travel with her.
Now-
she already broke the campaign promise.
Yes, already. Now, before we get any further with this, just so you understand, there is a provision in Guam law that disallows police officers to be used as executive security escorts for the governor or the lieutenant governor or their spouses or partners when they travel.
I think it's really
off-island.
funny that you call them escorts.
It was a provision that was established as a cost-saving measure. Unfortunately, when Bubbles retired to the back burner last week, a couple of weeks ago,
And Crystal Paco took over.
yeah, and I still think Crystal's at least a step. I know you disagree, but she's a step above the Bubbles, because she can say something. She stated today that it is mandatory that there is security for executive travel.
That's untrue.
Yeah, that's not true. It's not mandatory. It's just
She's
the
talking-
opposite.
She's talking about an order of a general order of the chief of police that was issued back, I think, in the days of Adolf Scambulary.
No, actually. Hey, Shelly Gibson. How are you, girl?
Oh, man.
From bubbles to neighing, huh?
Mrs. Ed.
Well, I don't know about the chief of police, but I do know. Well, when Crystal finishes talking here. Oh, is she having lunch?
Don't you think that Crystal Paco looks like a horse?
Actually, no, I don't. I think she's kind of a pretty
But
girl.
that's why they love us, because we have different views on this show.
Yeah. I think she's a pretty girl. I feel sorry for her. You know.
You've been feeling sorry. I think your compassion level is really up since you're 60.
It could be an old man thing, but no, I just feel sorry for her. I mean, I feel sorry for anybody who's incompetent and gets thrown into.
There it is, and there it is.
What?
You just called her stupid.
I didn't say stupid. I said incompetent. She's a better spokesperson than Bubbles, but I don't think she's ready for this kind of big time. I don't think anybody in this administration except Carl Gutierrez is ready for this. I mean, he's the only one, and the one that they least rely on to help them out when they should really depend on him.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't think it was Scambulary or the chief of police. It was back in the days of former Governor Ricky Bradallo when this the law was passed to restrict executive security travel. He did a runaround by issuing an executive order, but it didn't actually mandate, Crystal, that travel with police escort. It created a gray area in which subsequent governors and their spouses and the lieutenant governor's office have dived right in and taken an entourage to make themselves feel important. And you don't need security guards for our governor. Not here on island.
You know what these
or
police
off
officers do, right? And mind you, these are Guam police officers.
like the one who
are
went to
supposed
San
to be-
Francisco with you guys
Yes.
and got so fucked up that he ended up sleeping the next day
Yes.
while you guys were out, so he wasn't protecting anyone.
More than that, and I've seen this myself with my own two eyes. These are SWAT trained. Most of them are SWAT trained police officers. They are higher level, paid more, have a higher level of competency as police officers. When they are the favorites of the governor or the lieutenant governor or the first lady or the first gentleman.
Oh, and they get to take pictures. Oh.
Well, we're going to show the pictures, but what I wanted to let everyone know is that these guys hold their bags when they travel. They're the ones
That's
that
why
get
Jeff
the
Cook
bags
said
out the
he would hold his
carousel.
wife's bag.
Because he knew exactly what executive security, and now they want executive security to be.
So yeah,
in
they have
the
a
budget
measure in their budget to change the law to make it so that they can do this. But Crystal, sweetheart, it's not mandatory. And if you want to kind of hold on to that edge above Bubbles' career,
Stop lying like that.
I wouldn't speak.
yeah. Actually, that would be the best advice I could give you. If you don't know what you're talking about, darling, just smile and look pretty for the cameras. I don't think you look like a horse.
So I said that this was a segment where I get to have a little bit of fun with a loose end. Sometime in either November or December. I'm sorry. It wasn't. It was January. It was January of this year. Johnny and I were at Ross, and this is one of those times where I was the one who was a little more aggressive.
Belligerent.
A little belligerent, yes. To the point where Johnny was embarrassed and she had to go to a different aisle.
Well, that's a switch. That's a switch.
So I saw AJ Demapon, police officer AJ Demapon, who was one of Governor Calvo's security guards. One of First Lady Christine Calvo's security guards as well. He sort of like went in between. So Governor Calvo's favorite security guard was Jeff Duenas, who's the fag in charge of Payless Executive Security now. Before and when it wasn't him, it was James Kenga, and before both of them, it was Paul Santos. But Paul Santos went to jail. So, and there are actually some we'll talk about that another time. Some conspiracies regarding why Paul Santos went to jail. But anyway, so
we should talk about that. I know that guy personally.
AJ Demapon was one of the handpicked security officers, and so I knew very well that AJ Demapon was involved in the raid on Johnny and on me. And so I saw him at Ross. It was January. Cello was January. It was after Christmas.
I don't remember. Sometimes we went there 4 times a day.
Yeah, but we could only do that after January, remember? January or forward. So it was one of the times in the day when we went to Ross. It was probably the final time because it was nighttime.
Cello, this is not a dog bowl, right?
Karun
No,
Kitty.
it's not.
Okay.
Karun Kitty in a dog bowl.
So it's not a dog bowl. It's actually a rice making bowl. There's a lid for it that it has a thing. Anyway, so we saw him. I saw him, and at first Johnny was like, well, she was telling me later. She was like wondering who the hell is that because it all happened so quickly.
All I heard, this was what happened. We were in the shoe section at the men's department. And all I heard was, "Hey, AJ!" And this really loud. He said, I peeked through and I see Troy, and then all I hear is, "Did you have anything to do with my raid?" Huh? And I'm like, Troy.
And she really did say legit. And then she walked away, man. I was like, hey, where's my backup?
Fuck no, I wasn't about to get arrested. Hell no.
And AJ Demapon, fucking faggot, he was like, no, Troy, I didn't have anything to do. Man, buddy,
They even screwed me too?
Yeah, they screwed me too. Oh, yeah? All right. So I knew he was fucking lying. So from that, he was just like a really a nobody, not really worth my time. And so I always thought, you know what, I'm gonna have my day with him, because there was another executive security officer who came up to me at the gym, and he was just like, you know, Troy, I'm really sorry for what happened. I know it was wrong or whatever. I was like, hey, Chelo, thank you. You know, like I appreciate that. But AJ Demapon, for you dumb fucking piece of shit to lie to my face, and it was even kind of close to Christmas. It was like a few days after Christmas, so it was still within the spirit of like Jesus, you know. Like, I'm reaching here now. I know.
Yeah, you're reaching.
I'm reaching.
You're reaching.
But, however, it was not just an affront to me, but it told me that this guy was just a snake. Just a snake. And then I find out that he's Lulian Guerrero's executive security officer. Yeah. We got pictures, too. AJ Demapon.
No, when you think of security detail, close your eyes, people, and think, where are they supposed to be? And how are they supposed to act?
Think Denzel Washington, right? Or like Clint Eastwood.
Think Dedito Precinct, so they stop telling people who are victims of crimes when they call in, oh, come down to see us because we won't go
No,
to you.
I'm talking about how they're supposed to stand,
Their decorum.
what they do, what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, Chelo, cast to my screen. We're going to show you AJ Demapon. He's the girl on the left. Look, get a little cozy there with the governor and her girls, you know, taking pictures. You know what Officer AJ Demapon is not
isn't
doing
that
in that picture?
Kathy Flores?
He's not watching out for threats against the governor's life.
He's
That's
smiling.
what he's not doing in that picture.
That's Kathy Flores and Janela.
That's her bag.
No, I can recognize Bubble. Her head.
And Mrs. Ed is second to right.
Just like I said, I don't know why you keep calling her Mrs. Ed.
This is another executive security officer.
And there was Kathy Flores again.
Gomez, right?
Yeah, but he's not a focus of our. But he's also not guarding the governor's flank, as he's put. As a matter of fact, the governor looks like she's guarding his flank.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, Larry gained some weight. Holy cow! He's even bigger than the governor. There's Larry guarding the door, not looking at it.
Who's the one in the orange shirt?
That's Ernie Guerrero. That's my friend.
Well, you know, this is Guam. We don't really have a pressing need for that kind of security detail.
Obviously, because the executive
But
security officers are smiling.
To
for
be
pictures.
to be honest with you, personally, they are the occupant of that office. I'm not saying they shouldn't have some type of personal assistant or
We'll hire a personal assistant.
security.
Isn't that what Janela's there for?
You know, like even my governor, Carl Gutierrez, always
There were
had.
actual threats to Carl Gutierrez's life, though.
Well, true that.
There were actual threats to his life.
He had several. I know.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Were they all cozy like this?
No, they were actually very professional.
Okay.
So-
whenever he would run for governor, he'd even get one of those former security guys would volunteer his time, and and you could see the difference. They stayed in the background. They watched the movement of the crowd. I mean, I'm thinking of this one guy in particular, but he always like you see him and it's like that's protection.
There's a
that's
specific
bodyguard.
protocol for the conduct of executive security
Yeah,
officers
and
issued
he-
by the
this-
chief of police.
the
And
governor
this
had
is-
someone who
This is
he
not what
always
you're seeing
followed.
on the screen. Is not part of that code of conduct.
I
That's
would
AJ
never-
Demapon again.
You would never see the governor's man like that.
Maybe they're related.
Here's AJ Demapon again, not looking out. Now this is a highway. The fact that AJ Demapon ain't looking at the freaking highway and is looking at a camera while the governor of Guam is right there says that he ain't doing his job.
So this Kathy Flores
And
chick,
he's
is
getting
she
paid
like
overtime.
the governor's shadow?
Overtime. Executive assistant, I think. This guy gets paid a crap ton of overtime hours. And you can see it in the reports filed by the chief of police every single month about overtime to the legislature. You know who's not getting overtime at this expense?
Teachers,
Other police officers. who are
civilian
on the
employees
beat.
at GPD.
Yeah.
DLC?
Yep. Just so AJ Demapon can make a pretty penny. Here is AJ Demapon again. Is that a club? What is it? That's definitely a party. Both of her executive security officers taking a selfie, none of them guarding the governor.
Maybe it's a fundraiser.
But they're there for her. They're on the clock.
No, like I said, there's a big difference in seeing pictures like this and then actually seeing someone like I said, my own experience, is only through Governor Gutierrez, and that's when he wasn't a governor. And this was a gentleman who would show up during campaign periods, and he conducted himself in an entirely different manner. Like, he would never be in these, selfies like this.
Where's the governor? There's AJ Demopon again. Where's the governor?
Who do you think's taking the picture? Look at this.
No, it's that girl. She's doing the. You can tell she's the one doing the selfie. Why is he not watching the governor?
Maybe he's watching the first gentleman.
Yeah, Johnny has a point.
Where's the first gentleman's detail? Watching the governor?
He doesn't need one.
Well, one's there.
I don't see the governor. There's AJ Demopon on the clock.
Here's your.
No, but I'm
this is your security guy right here,
yes,
right?
But let me get to the best two pictures to define what the people of Guam are spending taxpayer dollars on for the governor's executive security, and many times with overtime coming with it. Let's go straight to the screen, Chalu. There's the governor at an art show, and look who's looking at art. Look at that. Even though Amanda Shelton's in the picture, you can still clearly see AJ Demopon.
I just caught who that was, and before I could open my mouth and say, "Don't you dare," you did.
There's another picture. Look at that. Still looking at art while the governor...
He appreciates art.
He is supposed to appreciate protecting the governor.
That guy could right now just smash her.
Yeah.
Well,
his job.
She might actually want to seriously consider upgrading her security staffing rather than getting rid of it, because at the rate she's going, by the time she starts the second year of her term, there are going to be so many angry people with her that she might really need some protection.
Well, so here's the thing that I want to let the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration know about Officer AJ Demopon.
Oh shit! This is my first time hearing this.
So, I don't know. I really don't know who has been leaking information from Adaloop during the Leon Guerrero administration. But, the kind of information that we get at Kandit and other media stations get as well is the kind of information that comes from inner circles at Adaloop. How did we know about the tax stuff? Mm-hmm. How did we know about some financial stuff? How did we know certain things that we keep in dossiers for rainy days? Same kind of information that escaped the Cowell administration. And I'm not saying that Officer AJ Demopon is the guy leaking it these days, but he was the guy leaking it back then. So I don't know if you want to find a common denominator and all that. Yeah, AJ Demopon. He was right about to be kicked out of executive security because...
Dude, you really should contact Guam Blog. I'm not going to call you a fat art lover. I'll paint you a picture and buy you a burger.
So maybe the reason he doesn't care too much to watch the governor is because he actually doesn't really care about the governor at all.
Either that or he understands it's really not a job.
It's just a place to rack in the overtime while his fellow officers are sweating it out,
just to make their regular
making their risking their lives, saying goodbye to their children every single night, not knowing whether they're going to return to their kids, to their wives.
Crime has gotten to the point now they do have to worry more realistic. When I first came to Guam, being a police officer here, I thought was probably one of the better police gigs in this country because of the safety in the community. But these days, it's as bad as any other metropolitan area. Yeah. With people carrying guns and knives and shit, and the machete attacks, But, yeah, so this whole security thing, you're not down for it, I take it.
No, it's unnecessary.
I definitely don't think they need any off-island security, particularly when they're traveling to the United States or to a place like Japan, which has one of the best safety records in the world. It's just ridiculous, But it brings me back to that thing, that analogy I'm lacking. When you have people who look at... The closest I can come is to the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette, just completely out of touch, in it for themselves.
Let them eat cake.
And and just so you know, when Marie Antoinette said let them eat cake, it wasn't cake that you buy at Crown Baker with frosting and sweet.
It's the poor people food.
It was brioche. It was a type of bread. So basically, here, eat bread. have some
bread was like
breadcrumbs.
the easiest thing to make, and it was readily.
It was the
that's-
cheapest.
It was the poor
but
people.
even Marie Antoinette, being so rich and out of touch, she wasn't even telling them to eat the worst bread. She was saying eat brioche, which is for a peasant, which would be upscale bread. It would be fine bread. That's why it's called cake. You know, it was like eat brioche. Then it's like, girl, they can't afford brioche.
And all these
So-
people around this governor, our governor, the people's governor,
forever.
And ever.
all these people around her, this ain't their first rodeo.
No, it's
No,
not.
we're not.
But I think that's why she actually probably believed coming in here after the incredible administration of Calvo and Tenorio, setting a new bar for what you can get away with. I said this on Guam Blog years ago in his first term, that whoever the next governor is, the dangerous precedent he was setting, if the voters let him get away with what he was doing, what it would mean. And I was just frightened who the next Democrat governor would be, because that individual would come in and be the most powerful governor yet, because Eddie pushed the bar so high in
He was
terms
the
of
imperial
what you
governor.
could get away with,
Yeah.
that the next one would take it to a new level. Thankfully, in a way, it was Lou, because she just doesn't have the intellectual wherewithal to be able to really exploit it. But, you know,
I think she just doesn't give a shit.
no, I just don't think they're clueless. They really are. They just don't
She's a
know.
snob.
Hold on, you guys. I just noticed something.
Yeah, I had, but I saw that. I just had to leave it there because it's such an interesting vignette.
Can we please do a bubble of what exactly is going through?
That's why I left it there. Just all of them, all of them.
And Tina's not even looking at Regine, huh?
No.
No, she's just over it. But like Clint is like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah, he's like,
Hey, what is wrong with you
guys?
people?
No, but Luis Munoz is playing Tetris or so. Like, what is she doing?
Writing lyrics to her next song that she's singing at Sheraton.
She's
adding the rent.
She's illiterate. Come on, she ain't writing anything.
Like-
Sudoku?
Sudoku's a game.
Is that the numbers one? That would require her knowledge of math. wouldn't
Tina's
it?
daydreaming about Adelup. I can't wait till I'm
The
governor.
August body.
So check this out.
Regine, we'll put a bubble for Regine, and it'll be blank.
Check this.
Just leave it blank.
She's
No,
gonna
it'll be-
ask, she said, Carlo, what do I say?
It, no,
What
it'll,
I
it'll
think-
be Fr Carlo. Say this ... So we're gonna come up with a legislative body calendar. It's a legislative body calendar. We haven't figured out the layout yet. Well, I mean, there's 12 months, and we're gonna reserve 3 senators who we believe are not worthy of being
Part of the
creamed,
august body.
being creamed by Kandit. But there's gonna be 12 senators, and they're each gonna have a month. And speakers Tina
Well, some people deserve 2 months, a double spread. Just
Speaker
because
Tina
you know.
Barnes is going to be the August body. There's going to be a January body, a February body.
March.
Is there like a month that has more numbers than the rest to represent Senator Amanda Shelton?
31 is the max, but I think we can do a double spread.
We can have Senator Regine Lee in February because it has the fewest days.
No, that's February. Yeah, February leap year is 28, so we'll put her in the skinniest month.
Well, I wasn't thinking skinny. I was thinking more along the lines of,
Yeah, the lightest month.
the lightest one.
Yeah.
And December, that's like for, oh no, the December is a good one. December, we can put a Santa Claus hat and, like.
I already have. Oh, I really wish I'd liked the outcome on that Christmas video of our Pinocchio toy special, because Lou's wearing a Santa hat. Christmas in July. Why wait? You have to voice this over. It's like, why wait for December when you can have Christmas now, Ray?
Why do we need to have to wait for December? Thank you, everyone. Si Diyos Mahasids and si Diyos and
Let
Fembinindis.
me close with that picture.
Okay.
Let me close with that picture. See where we at.
Thank you, everyone. Just to let everybody know, I've been clean for 1 year, 5 months, and 11 days.
Yay!
Congratulations.
And if you all can listen to One Day, I think it's One Day at a Time. It's a Christian song.
Oh, where did I put that picture? Is it in Kandit?
I don't know, but there's some folder names there that are pretty racy.
those were segments for Guam Blog that ran privately. I need time to start organizing again. I know I sent the picture to you guys. Didn't I send it to you?
You know about the Pinocchio picture? It was just on.
Yeah, the Christmas one, though.
Oh, the Christmas one.
Oh.
No, I didn't see that.
I've got so much stuff in here. It's hard to find. Okay, we'll just have to get it up.
Do that one. That's a good one.
Which one?
He just has a small nose.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's just like the caricature.
Wow. Wow.
That's one of the caricatures, you know,
That is
references.
some caricature.
That's the
Got to tweak.
shake.
Forever.
That's the air part.
Are those pearls?
Say good
Yes.
night like you're the governor. Say good.
Buenas.
Like I'm Governor Lilian Girl?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, everybody. All right. Thank you. Si Jus Masi. Zansi Jus and Fambin in DC Todu Hamzu. I want to say thank you very much.
To my
Thank
friend,
you.
Mega Baga.
To my staff.
To my staff
And myself.
and to me. I cannot forget me. I never do.
And my
And I want to thank Jane Flores and also
Kathy.
Kathy Flores and not Governor Carl Gutierrez. Never mind him. And Madeline Berdazzo. I love her. And Mike St. Nicholas. I don't even know that guy. I don't know that. Oh, but Regine. Thank you very much, everybody. Si Diyos Masi.
Good night.
Dan si Diyos and Fambin in DC para todos. Hamzu, Ginin, Ifamilian Kandit.
Thank you. Good night.